Everybody, my name is Lewis Lee, and this is Playing in Traffic. And we're at a hidden location tonight called the Dining Room. And we got my man Ray. What's up, Ray?
I am not Lewis Lee, but I am Ray Guarino from Motormouth Radio. That's right. Lewis, good to see you as always.
Yes, sir. You too.
How did Thursday come so fast?
Oh man, I was sitting here earlier. I'm like, wait a minute, I got to get the show set up. I was all confused.
It always beats the alternative. So let me say something first off, because my daughter showed me me and wife last night a podcast that she was watching. So and it was 4 people, and it's kind of that new format where everybody sits on their own chair or their own couch,
Mm-hmm.
And here's my gripe, because I've seen this on this particular podcast, and it was actually about cars, believe it or not, and I've seen it on other ones too. When people sit and they have mics on a boom stand, they have that mic, 2 inches from their face, literally in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And look at us. Our mics are not right in front of our faces. You wouldn't even know we had one, right?
Right.
And the reason is we know that the new microphones pick up from, mine's about 8 inches, about a foot away from me. But these, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to label it as just the younger people, even though they are younger. They just haven't picked up on that yet. And I said to my daughter, maybe it's because it goes back to when we used to do events and they'd hand you a mic. You had to hold it up to your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You had to. I said, but these people aren't old enough to really have done that. So now I'm really confused. But it's just a little gripe of mine seeing this, big black microphone in front of somebody's face.
Yeah.
I want to see their face.
Well, that's why I have mine coming from the ceiling and it hangs on the side.
Right. And I have mine down in front of me on the desk. I could move it, but I don't want to see it. What do you want to see that for?
Right.
So anyway, congratulations to us.
Yeah, we're doing it, man. 8 going on 9 years, man. Beautiful thing.
Exactly.
I got a message from the Ring brothers, his wife Nancy. And he really enjoyed his stuff, and he said he's going to come back on and hang out with us, just to hang out with us one day.
Excellent.
He really enjoyed it, and they were real happy.
It's like the people come on my radio shows. They man, I had a real good time. I'm like, well, it's good to have low expectations. You see, this way you're not disappointed.
Yeah. Yep. So tonight, I wanted to set up the show to invite people from Facebook and YouTube to come and share with us. We put this community together to share our knowledge and to receive some knowledge as well.
Right.
So everybody that's listening to this live, please feel free to leave comments in the comments section because we can see them here on the right. And if you have any questions or you want to tell us anything about us, then let it go.
Right. Speaking of that, I made a post tonight on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and I want to tag the show. But when I looked up, when it brought up the site, nothing's been put on that tag since like 2016.
Really?
Yeah, I guess it's the playing in traffic. It was I think it was PLN traffic on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you might want to check that out. And then the last date was 2016. So
wow,
a long time ago.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm moving into some different stuff with the social media. So I'll be learning some more stuff, and I have some more people coming in that's going to help me do some SEO stuff.
Good.
So hopefully that'll all kick in pretty soon.
Nice.
Yep. Got a question for you.
What's that?
You're an electric guy.
Okay.
On my Yamaha Venture, a lot of guys are converting over to coilovers, spark plugs, wires.
Oh, like coil on plug, you're saying?
Right.
Wow.
And there's a couple guys on the internet, but I don't want to send them my money because I'm hearing bad things that they don't get their parts or, you know what I mean? And I think I can make it myself. If he made it, I can make it, but I need a little bit of, knowledge on it. Do you have any?
Yeah, well, coil on plug is a great. There's two ways of doing it too. It could be I forget the exact term, but there was like a lost and a no loss system. Whereas, in other words, one of the cars I have, it's a 4-cylinder, and it's got 2 coils on the plug, and then wires jump over to the other. So one coil fires 2 plugs.
Okay.
So just like on most motorcycles, it's what the hell's the term for it? It's something. Not total loss, because that would be a total loss. Basically, what it means is that ignition fires every stroke. So it fires on the ignition stroke, it fires on the exhaust stroke also. So the exhaust stroke, when it fires, it's a lost spark. It's not doing anything. But now on the more modern vehicles, you have 1 coil per plug, and they can fire just when they're supposed to for ignition. You got yourself a fire dog.
He's supposed to be sleeping.
Yeah, no, we woke him up. Wow, that's a pretty dog.
Go lay down. His name's Zero.
Zero. Nice.
He
put a zero.
He has no spots on his tail, so we named him Zero.
Okay. What a beautiful dog.
Thank you.
Have you had him a long time?
He's I think 19 months.
Wow.
He's pretty big.
Yeah.
All right, go lay down, buddy. Go lay down. He's supposed to be sleeping.
Jump up on your desk.
Yeah, he's big as me.
So yeah, coil on plug requires a trigger source. It requires some kind of brain that's going to do the firing, and that's on a car.
ECM.
That's where your ECM comes in. Yeah. So I'd be curious to see what they're adapting. I mean, anything from a 4-cylinder motorcycle engine is the same as a 4-cylinder car engine, as far as that goes.
Yeah. Well, from what I see, is they have the coilover on the spark plug, then a wire coming from that going to the ECM. That's all they're sending you is the wire and the 2 wires coming off with the plug. So
you have to supply the ECM.
Yeah, the ECM. I think they're plugging into the bike's ECM that's on there. They're not. I don't think they're changing that. That from what I'm seeing.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, because the ECM now will trigger the coil, which is your ignition source. I'd want to know more about that myself, the specifics. Because now, first of all, with the coil on the plug, on a car, there's 1 screw that holds it into the valve cover. So, how's it being held on the motorcycle? What are they doing there?
I think it's part of the plug that goes over the spark plug, the socket.
Well, that's the boot, yeah. But then the coil is on top of that boot.
Yeah.
The coil always has a tab coming off it with 1 usually.
So I don't think they use it.
Okay.
I just think they stick it on because it's a pretty deep hole.
Yeah. No, they are usually 3 inches or so, but that's why they screw them down so that they don't come off, because then you got hot ignition all over the place.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
So maybe make a brace for it to hold them in.
That's possible. You could make something out of aluminum.
Yeah.
I'd probably be prone to doing that myself instead of just letting it, because the coil adds a lot of weight to it. I mean, not super heavy, but it does add weight. So
I'm thinking that they're using them off of Hayabusa.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking is they're just running the 2 wires to the original plug that plugs into the ECM.
Well, that's the trigger. Yeah, it's the trigger for the coil.
Is there anything in between that? I don't think so.
No.
Because right now, what it's doing is it's the plug wires are going to the coils, and then the 2 wires coming out of coils into the ECM.
Right.
So it's 4 of them.
The trigger, yeah. You want to see too. You may have to change the plugs. Go to a different spark plug that's rated for the voltage that those coils are putting out. And then the gap changes and all of that. Probably because if you run a regular copper plug, then you're probably going to go up to some I don't know if it would be iridium, but you may have to go up to like a platinum or something.
Right.
With a different gap. Yeah, I'd want to see the whole back. A little bit more of the engineering behind that. I mean, some guys just slap stuff together and it works, but I like to see what's going on in the back end.
Yeah, because my luck, it'll work for a half hour and get me down the street, and I'll be stuck.
Well, you don't want that. Hey, we got to say hi to Isaac's mom. He just sent me things. His mom, he stopped at his mom's house on the way home, and she's watching us on TV. So,
hi,
hello,
is it
Isaac's
mom?
mom. I don't know her name, but that's very cool. So she's watching us, I guess, on YouTube.
Nice.
That's cool. Look at that. Excellent.
We have fans of all types.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's Isaac? He's not in the house. We got to get him. Oh, he's out at his mom's.
I guess he's going to be traveling over. I know sometimes he'll watch on his phone as he's traveling.
Okay.
That's you got to really be jonesing for it if you're watching on your phone.
All right. Let's get the fellas in.
Yeah. There he is, mid swig.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Brian,
Yeah, doing tonight?
What's new and exciting?
Doing good. Oh, you know, every day around is is new and exciting.
Yeah. Easy, Paul. Easy, no class.
Take it
Making
easy,
noise.
no class.
Sorry, guys. I'm back in the garage working. I'm kind of wrapping some things up. I'm gonna call it a night. I think what you were looking for was true and wasted spark, where it fires the ignition stroke and it fires on the exhaust stroke.
Thank you.
And you can watch it on an oscilloscope.
Yes, waste spark
back and forth the directions on the opposing cylinder.
Yeah, that's exactly the term I was looking for, but I couldn't think of.
That's when, like, on the Hemis and Porsche started doing it, and Jag, I think, also did. They put the extra spark plug in on to burn up the exhaust gases. It was wasted.
It was a theory, and it was proven to be correct that if you hit an ignition source on the exhaust stroke to the exhaust gases coming out with the air pump, adding some oxygen, any fuel that was there would burn in the exhaust and there would be less emissions. Well, I don't know about when anyone else was in science class, but you can alter the state of the element, but you can't change, or it's something about, you can't destroy matter.
It's conservation of energy.
State, but that's it. No matter what it is, you can't create more of it, and you don't have less of it.
That's the universal law of conservation of energy. Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't matter how much we burn or how much we use, it all equals out. It's just yin and yang. It all equals out.
Right.
No, that's true, but I always liked when the guy said, I got a real hot rod because I have 2 spark plugs per cylinder, thinking that it's more power.
You know what? The Harley guys, we did that back in the 80s. Figuring it was going to get something, and guys swore that it did. I don't know. I never did it. I never double plugged my heads, but it's a waste spark system because that only has 1 coil feeding 2 plugs, so it's going to fire on the exhaust stroke. There's no 2 ways about it. But yeah,
it does have its benefits if you were trying to, use the computer to tune everything. It's got some benefits, but Lewis, my suggestion is, if it runs, don't mess with it.
You want the wrong guy, Paul.
You want the power of a Hayabusa?
Buy a Hayabusa.
Up to the corner and buy a Hayabusa.
Lewis is trying to backdoor one because he knows if he brings one in, it's going to be he's out the back door.
Yeah, my wife, man, she got her eye on the driveway. I can't have any sports bikes.
That's where the ramp on the back of the truck comes into handy. You can just roll it up into the back of the bus.
Yeah. Yeah, she got cameras everywhere, man. I can't get away with nothing.
I do got to say before I go in tonight, and I'm getting ready to go in. Can you all see it there on the? I used my Yes welder helmet tonight.
Okay.
And we're starting to get going back on that one.
It worked pretty good for you?
The Yes welder helmet? Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I gave mine to David.
Okay.
Yeah, so I still got the old raggedy one.
Well,
that works sometimes.
David's close enough that if you need to grab it, you can go grab it from him.
Yeah. That was nice that Yes Welders hooked us up with those, man. Those nice helmets.
And when I was in St. Louis on the Wrenching for the Future build, I'd say 10, 15% of the people that I let borrow my helmet contacted Yes Welder or ordered a Yes Welder helmet.
Oh yeah, that's
So
nice.
it truly pays off to advertise the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yep.
is what was it about that helmet that made everybody like it so much?
One, the vision,
Okay.
the amount of vision. If you didn't see the way these helmets are done,
Yeah, it wraps all the way around, like you can see.
Oh, that's good.
I might have to order myself one since I don't have one.
it's extremely adjustable on how fast its sensitivity is, how fast it reacts, how dark it goes depending on what you're doing, from grinding all the way to welding magnesium or something. All kinds of settings, and it's got side vision. I don't know if you all can see in there, but
There you go. Yeah.
it's got it on the side so that
Nice.
you're not just looking through this little tiny slot. You truly got vision on what you're doing.
Safe face.
Lewis, if you're gonna put an order in, let me know. You add me to that order.
I
Talk
sure
with
will.
those boys. Yeah.
They-
Brian, I guess we got to get the other side of the story in a few minutes.
we
Blah blah
went
blah.
Arco and Yes Welders sponsored those for the roof raise.
Right.
So all the guys got them from the roof raise.
Well, I'll tell you, I just remember that story and how Arco raved about it. So my buddy TJ, we were at dinner about a month or so ago, and he said, damn it, I need a new welder. My welder shot. I don't know what to buy. And I said, go check out Yes Welder. I said, I heard some good things about him.
Mm-hmm.
He checked it out. He ordered one the next day. He got it like in a couple days and raved about it immediately, how much he liked it. So.
Yeah, Arco brought his, and he brought his plasma cutter too. Yes, plasma cutter, and they both work really nice.
Nice.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yes, the Yes welder that Arco brought and his plasma cutter, fantastic machines.
Mm-hmm. I think they're under $500 too.
Moved to Texas, I was going to buy a TIG. Well, the deal came up on me getting that Lincoln TIG, so that's the one I bought before I moved. I'm glad I bought the Lincoln that I bought at the price I bought it at. But if I hadn't have bought the Lincoln, it was going to be the Yes Welder, square wave welder that I would buy.
Yeah, they're nice, and the price point, you can't beat it. I mean, I don't know if they're going to go up in price soon, but I think they're trying to kill the market, and they're selling them at a decent price.
I understand the price on the helmets has come down.
Oh, has it?
Yes.
Okay. Go lay down. I gotta disgruntle a puppy here.
All right, fellas, I'm going to go inside, have dinner, go to sleep. It all starts over early in the morning.
All right,
All
Paul.
right.
Thanks for coming to hang out with us for a minute.
Not
Paul, take it easy. Be safe.
All right, stay safe.
I miss the Mid-Atlantic. I got to tell you, I do miss the Mid-Atlantic. However, it was 85 degrees here today.
Shut up.
It was 80 here today.
Did it hit 80?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
We weren't that warm.
No, we're I think the 40s, 45.
But you missed it. You're not missing anything, Paul, because this week alone, I think we've had 6 rollovers in traffic, cars that have rolled over. We had an idiot that was trying to pass somebody on the 695 and went down a construction lane and killed 6 people and flipped over and stopped both sides of the beltway for 5.5 hours. And then Monday, I think we had a guy that was drag racing on 95 and wrecked and tumbled and caught on fire. And
I'll tell you, when I was
Crazy.
coming back from my trip down south and I was on the beltway there, this kid, I saw him in my mirror probably a half a mile back, and he passed me, had to be doing 130.
yeah, it's
And
crazy.
of course, and then some other jerk, of course, is following him on his tail. I was like, you got it. And I was waiting to see the poof, but no, it never happened.
Wow.
Busy
It
week on the
will
road.
one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will one day. All right, fellas. Good night. See you
All right,
next
Paul.
week, hopefully.
All right, Paul.
Take it easy.
I'm looking here at Yes Welders, and they have helmets from $50 up to $140. It looks like that they're not the exact same one Paul showed, but they have an auto darkening one with a panoramic view for $100.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we get a promo code we got from Heidi and Arco. It's Outlaw Edge. Type that in the promo code, and you get a discount.
I should buy a welder too. I need one. I need a welder.
Thanks, Heidi.
How is Heidi? Didn't she break a leg or something, or ankle, or?
Oh yeah, how you feeling, Heidi?
I was
Heard
hoping
you
she
broke
was
your leg off.
I was hoping she was going to show some more dirty pictures instead of the break
The break.
I think she showed an X-ray or something. I thought she was going to show some more dirty pictures.
Enough of that.
Hey,
All right, so Outlaw Edge is the promo code. So Brian, why were you rolling your eyes?
Save Face, I think, is a little bit better helmet.
Yeah,
They have the full, they have a 360 degree or a whole thing. It's a smaller helmet. It's easier to get in, and the lightning, you have all type of adjustments. You can actually change. They have grinding mode. I mean, me personally, I just think it's a little better helmet.
Well, let me play a little devil's advocate here, because when Paul was explaining that, I was thinking, like, when I'm welding, I'm only looking down. You shouldn't be looking anywhere else. You should be looking at your work. So I don't understand what benefit you get.
That's so that you're not opening and closing your helmet.
Well, here's another thing too: is if you're laying sideways, and you might be at a different angle, you can see through the side.
Okay, I guess I could give you that one. But
one of the biggest things is just that you're not opening and closing your helmet, and when you're stopping, then you have full view of what's going on when you're doing and so forth. So I mean, that's basically the thing. But of course, I'm not going to lie. I've never used that helmet, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not an expert. It's just that I do like the size of the Save Face.
They have
helmet.
some pretty small ones. I guess what I'd have to say is, I'd have to reserve my judgment till I used one. I guess you really can't. I can't say.
But like I said.
Aluminum MIG.
They
got a multi-purpose MIG aluminum welder, $399.99.
Can't beat that price.
It's that's $100.
Yeah.
So I guess when they say aluminum welder, it's a dual welder. It'll be a regular steel.
Yeah, you switch the wires. You switch it over in the panel, and then get a spool gun, and.
Yeah, they're nice units. I mean,
and they have a 250 amp aluminum welder with pulse that's 650.
Yeah, that's the Pulse or Sin Wave or whatever is I think if I can explain this right, that's more of a true duty cycle. Like you could run it longer. That's the problem. Like a lot of guys, they'll get a cheaper welder, but it only has a duty cycle of like 30% or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So when they're welding so long, or they're going so along, all of a sudden it starts popping because it can't keep up with the thing.
You need to know that's more along the lines of doing production welding as opposed to repair or
right.
We're not sitting there running beads for 8 feet long. So
right, and that I tell people because they'll say, "Hey, I'm looking for a welder." I'm saying, well, the light duty. Okay, well here's a welder. It's like $800, and they're like, "Oh, but look at the duty cycle." I said, "Dude, are you going to weld for 20 minutes straight?"
Right.
Yeah,
you're tacking a bracket, or you're putting
And half the guys when they're welding, all they're doing is tack welding along the line. They're not even
right.
If they lay a bead, it's no more than 1.5 inches long.
Right.
Yeah. John in the chat said he hits his head on a lot of different stuff because he can't see from the side.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I guess that could happen.
Yep. So I think I'm gonna Now the springs come, I do a little welding on the bus, so I think I'm gonna order a helmet.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always smacking my head when I'm welding because you can't. I mean, it happens, but I smack my head when I'm not welding too. So
Right.
that's how I got this way. You know, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
Heidi said the 4-in-1 is a nice unit.
Yeah.
Now let's see, 4-in-1 is probably MIG, TIG, plasma, and stick. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I know. I remember when we had John from Florida. Was that his name? Was that John? Who was selling those?
No, that was Doc.
Doc. They had 3-in-1 machines. It was MIG, stick, and it was
TIG,
MIG, stick, and plasma. I think TIG was separate, but so I remember I was saying, I don't need this stick, and it just happens my friend, the guy who's buying that Brookwood wagon, needs these plates welded, and they're like, what are they, like 3/8 steel? It's got to be done like perpendicular. I said, dude, man, yeah, you need a stick welder.
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff.
That's the only thing that I wish I had the old Lincoln, stick welder, the one that looked like a big old, transformer radio thing, and I had gotten rid of it because once I got my MIG welder, that's all I ever used. But there's been a few times I've come across where I wish I kept that stick welder. And
yeah,
like I said, I made the mistake last year or 2 years ago when I was at Expo. I bought a new MIG, and the guy told me that it was a MIG and could do aluminum, but I didn't go for the TIG option. And then, of course, I had a customer. He was showing me how to TIG, and I really wish I'd gotten the TIG.
I'll tell you, this welder they have that's $400. It's 4 functions: gas MIG, gasless MIG, lift TIG, and stick. It says aluminum MIG available, spool gun compatible. So that's a lot for $400, man. They're giving you, and it's a 110 or 220. It's dual voltage.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great price.
And they're saying free shipping over $150, and it's ready to go. Like they'll ship it out in 2 days. That's
poor puppy. What's wrong with you? What are you doing to that dog there, Lewis?
I need to get the electric thing on him. He's supposed to be sleeping. Go to bed.
Yeah.
So I usually go out into the garage because he makes these noises. And I was like, well, I'm going to try him out tonight and see how it works. But as you can see.
All right.
Yeah.
Here, let me get him a snack. Maybe he'll lay down.
That means he'll keep doing it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny with that welder stuff. And like I said, really, it comes down to, it's like you said, I got a brand new MIG welder, and I still, when I got to go do something, I still roll out my 30-year-old Snap-on machine and do it. And it's just because I'm used to it, and that's what I'm just,
Now we do get used to different things, and it's just kind of like, you got muscle memory. It's like your old friend. Yeah, I do that with certain things too. So I know.
So, again, it's just I purposely took my old welder to my storage unit so that if I have to do something, I got to use the new one with the of course I got the plasma cutter with it and so forth.
Right.
And it's just funny. I got the rest of my Expo order, and I got my what's that thing called? The inductor coil. The mini inductor. What is it? The Viper HP, the small one.
The angled one.
Yeah, the small.
Nice.
So
I really had. I get mine into some weird spots, but I found a lot of instances where the smaller angled one would have definitely been an easier tool to use. This year I went back and forth because I keep going that I really wish I'd bought that TIG, but I said this year there was 4 or 5 small things I wanted to get for the shop, and
I had originally got one of the first inductor coil, the one that looked like, the stick of dynamite, the regular original one.
Yeah. It's like octagonal, it's giants, it's huge.
Yeah, it's like the Olympic torch.
And they call it the mini ductor.
Yeah.
No mini ductor.
It's like running through the shop with the Olympic torch, you know what I'm saying? So I had one of those. When they first came out, I bought one. And of course, like everything else, somebody wanted it. So I hadn't used it yet. So I just sold it and I said I'll replace it. And, like I said, there's only been a handful of times where it's really nice to use it.
I tell you, but when you need it, that tool definitely delivers the goods.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm still, I still have the settling tank. I still drag out the settling tank and fire up the old torch and heat up, liquid wrench and heat up what I need to.
What I started using it for a lot of times is to free up frozen brake bleeders. Because you don't want to put a torch on that, and the inductor works. I haven't had a mishap yet. Everyone I've used it on has come free.
Yeah. So but that came, and so I was pretty excited that I want to use it this weekend on the tool truck. I got to reposition, and hopefully. I don't know. I think the box of my truck has moved.
Really?
Yeah. And
little duct tape.
Yeah. Well, the U-bolts that goes around the box to the frame, they're like long ass U-bolts, and they I can't. They're loose, but I can't move them. Yeah. They're frozen, and
the inductor will do it.
So I said, hurry up, inductor, so I can use it. Yeah. So I got to heat them up, and hopefully I can tighten it up. I don't know. I started measuring the box, and I think it slid up a little bit. I don't know how. If it did, I don't know how I'm going to move it.
Just bolt it back into right where it is.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do.
Right where it is.
So
speaking of delivering things, have you noticed that now when you buy stuff like off eBay, you get everything is in these silver foil envelopes?
Yeah.
I've been selling some stuff on eBay, and I've been looking at some of the big dogs, and they're all using those bags for clothes, for everything.
What I don't know what it is. Is it
cheaper?
I guess. I mean, I would think like the foil and all has to be. That's not too cheap, and they have a Ziploc thing. So anyway, the reason I found that out is because I had to open that bag up to take the parts out to fix this.
That's pretty. It's nice and shiny.
Yeah, it smells good too.
Man, you wasn't playing around.
No, definitely not. I got to ask you, this is Lewis's carburetor. Did you put this stud in here?
No.
All right, 'cause it's in wrong.
Is it?
It's a piece of carburetor linkage, but it's got the threaded stud with a nut that's attached to it, and then there's a jam nut that goes on it. That goes through the linkage, and the other piece that went through the other side where they put the cotter pin, that's where your cable is supposed to go on. So I'll reverse it.
Okay.
I will reverse it, and you can check my social media pages. I posted the rebuild today.
Oh, cool.
And I have all of the specs on this little card. I will include. I'm going to send this back to you tomorrow.
All right, appreciate it. Let me know what the shipping is. I'll send you. You got PayPal or anything?
I do. I haven't used it in forever. I should see if it's still active. But
okay.
I guess it should cost about the same to ship it back as it costs for you to ship it to me.
I think it was.
It was like $16.
Was it? Yeah.
We'll see. I'll go to UPS tomorrow. Send that back.
Sweet. So, yeah, I'm getting ready to do the manifold. I made a jig to hold my pipes in the right spot, and they're going to go up into a 3-inch tube. Then we'll put a plate on the tube, and then the plate on the top where the carburetor sits on.
Nice. Now, there's a guy who started following me somehow. Carbudaz is his name on Instagram. The guy's from South America somewhere. I forget if it wasn't Puerto Rico. It was like, what the hell? One of the South American countries. And he does like everything he posts is carburetors, but like some weird stuff off of Volgas and a lot of Solex stuff. And, so I think he found me when I did like a Weber for my Fiat. So now I tag him on stuff and he's always like, oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So he replied when I put this up and he says, oh, Ford Mustang. I was like, no. I said, you're never going to believe this, but this is going on a Yamaha motorcycle. And he's probably sitting there saying, what are these Americans doing?
We want to go fast.
These fucking wackos, man, on a motorcycle.
Yeah. Them Ford carburetors give me the blues, man.
Yeah.
They pop out of sync, man. It's just so.
Yeah.
They're out of here.
These Webers are they're with, I never really got the one on my Fiat to be tuned the way I like it. And I always play with it. I always play around with it, but there's emulsification tubes and different jets and all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's what I did. I wrote down all the specs for all the stuff that's in there because some of those parts are inside. So if you start looking into tuning, at least you'll know what you have in there. So you'll know if you want to make a change, what you got to get.
Okay, great.
And go from there.
So my bike has a push-pull throttle.
Right. That's for safety, yeah.
Right. So should I keep that and can I use it on there?
If you can. I mean, this uses just pull.
Yeah.
But the push-pull actually helps close it. It opens and closes. I would. Yeah, my friend used to drag race a Sportster. I mean, he drag raced this thing back in the 70s, all the way up through the 90s. But in the early days, he had just a pull throttle on that thing. And one time and it was like, I think he was in the 10s with this bike, doing like 120 or so, 120 plus. And at Atco Speedway one year, that throttle just stayed open. He went to throttle it down. It wouldn't throttle down. It stayed open, top speed, high gear, no parachute or nothing. The bike wasn't that fast. He ended up going off the track into the runoff area through a chain link fence.
Wow.
And he didn't race again for like 8 or 9 years.
I bet.
He was alive. I mean, he didn't die, or lucky he didn't die. He wasn't even badly hurt, but it shook him up. He was like, fuck, man, I got to put a push-pull throttle on this thing. And I think now in the bike classes, they mandate it.
Really?
It's safety. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
crazy.
This bike in 87 it was like a test bike. So they changed from the plastics to fiberglass fairings, and they put the dual rotors on.
Right.
They did a lot of things. It was like a trial thing.
Yeah.
So and they had to push-pull throttle.
So that bike had CV style carburetors on it, I think, right? They weren't slide style. It was the CVs with the big vacuum pot. I mean, everybody gave them a bad rep. No one liked them, but they worked really well. If you knew
now
how to set them up.
The thing is with that, it's the same motor as the VMAX, but the VMAX has the slide.
Right. They were always looked at as more of a performance carburetor because it's a more instant throttle response, where the CVs give you more cruisability and better. It's like having a vacuum secondary carburetor as opposed to a mechanical secondary. The vacuum secondary can sense the load and then meter the fuel, a little better. It's just then they weren't always looked at as a performance carburetor.
Right. So Arco asked about what bike it is. So that's Peaches, Arco.
Yeah. Beauty.
So Peaches getting a new back end too. I got a trunk for her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because for some reason some idiot put a big stereo in it and took up all the box space.
Yeah.
So now we gotta have a trunk.
That happens.
I don't know how this happened here, but somebody drove off and drove into the inner harbor in Baltimore.
Really?
Drove actually into the harbor with their car. Let me see if I can get the glare out.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And I don't even know how they got past on the inner harbor, because that's all caged off. I mean, I don't know if something's in the water or what, but this whole week has just been actually, even last night, the wife tagged a deer in her car. So, I mean, thank God She's just got one furry wheel.
Yeah. Nice.
The all the hair is on, stuck in the rim,
Oh,
and
man.
and then she just broke the fog light on her car, but that's crazy. Man, it's been really crazy.
Where I am, I'm on the South Shore of Long Island, and every town has a park and boat ramps, and there's always people running off of docks and off of boat ramps that ended up in the water, and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Baltimore for the Inner Harbor, for that to happen, I don't know. Because that's all, like I said, that's all fenced and pylon, and you got people.
You'd be surprised where a vehicle can fit.
I know.
Where
like
there's a will, there's a way.
One of our drivers, he was coming down the street, and a car ran a light and hit him, in the side, like right next to him. And you should see the little narrow. He went between two poles and through some hedges in a house, and missed everything.
And that's in a bus.
And you should see how you see the tire tracks going through.
Nice.
Like, oh my God.
That could be in all the training films that the new guys have to watch.
Yeah. It's unbelievable where a car can fit or a bus.
And then you see those videos where the guy will try like at a toll plaza or something, and they end up going between the concrete and the toll. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, fuck, how you getting there? Yeah.
It's crazy.
People do some crazy shit. Yeah, we should talk to yes welders, Lewis. We need a pair of these things. We both need new welders. We should talk to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to them, see if they might do something with planning traffic.
Yeah, I mean, even that, like I said, that where is it? Yeah, it's the Yes Welder MIG. It's the 205. I'll send you the link to it.
Okay.
Do.
Yeah, the weather's breaking now, so I got to weld up some holes. Like some like holes that they had lights and stuff. I'm gonna weld up all those holes and put the small LED lights in.
Yeah.
So I got to weld that stuff up, and it's little stuff.
Right.
So now the weather's breaking.
Yeah, it was super nice today. I hope this weekend, because I want to get back on the Audi. I had to do a little fixing on the wife's car though, where she hit the deer.
Well, you've been called out on that, by the way.
I heard Chris. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you your chance to get back at him. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm going to give you your chance.
Yeah. Get back at him for what?
Well, just to kind of to at least defend your position.
Oh.
I have the perfect way to do it. Let me just finish composing this to Lewis here. Let's see. We'll do this. We'll do that. There we go.
I'm checking Instagram now to see if I can find the carbs.
Yeah, they were good pictures.
All right, Lewis, I just emailed it to you.
Okay.
Brian, this week we got to do our annual fundraising thing. Which
you have 2 hours. 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we hate doing it, but we have to do it because we got to keep throwing out the stuff, So we usually, when we do that, we usually bring somebody in for like the second hour to kind of cool it off, and I said I had the thought when I got home. I said I got to ask Brian if he'll come in.
Sure,
because I already thought already. Said I'm priming the bear cage. I said I am leading the lamb to slaughter because after the way he and I hate to throw my co-host under the bus. I love him dearly, but I know that if there's anybody who could do it the right way, it'll be you.
But the only thing that I need from you, Ray, is I need the controller to turn his mic off.
Unfortunately, I have that in the studio. I could do that.
But I do have a question to ask on your picture here, Ray.
Yes.
You have. Let me see if I can find this. The gold thing, the table.
Oh yeah.
Is that Is that like a clamp, or I see it? I know it goes up. You can adjust it for height.
I'll show you. Hang on.
Oh yeah, I see that too. I'm just one looking at right now.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like a small vise or just a table.
Yeah, it's a little table. Looks like that's pretty neat. I bet you it's magnetic.
Yeah, but your carburetor is aluminum.
Oh, yeah, I guess that wouldn't.
Unless he's got the special aluminum magnet that we've been working on.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. See, that's why I sent it to him, because I knew I wouldn't be able to clean it like this. And
Yeah, there's a picture of him showing in the Sonic tank.
Yeah, and I looked at the bag of stuff, the parts. I'm like, man, I'm gonna lose something. All it takes is to lose one spring.
Yeah,
and then my thing's running like crazy.
Or one ball bearing or something stupid.
Yeah. I'm like, let me send it to the pro.
Yeah, you're not kidding, Slingshot. We've been working on that aluminum magnet. Once I come up with that aluminum magnet, I'm cashing in.
All right.
Yeah, we're all going to retire.
What you're looking at is a piece of scientific equipment. This is it.
Oh.
And it's called a lab jack. So you just turn it.
Uh-huh.
And it raises. I like to get stuff eye level when I work on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So this one is like, I guess, 8x4. Then you get them, I got one this size. That's like almost a foot.
Yeah,
Okay.
look at that. I like that.
Actually sell these to raise cars off of like, ramp lifts. This thing will go up. Do it the fast way.
And it's that strong that it'll lift the car up?
Well, this one might.
Wow.
This is still going. They
Where
use
do you
them
get
for
those at?
motorcycles too, Lewis.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, there you go. This thing is like.
Now,
I like that.
That little one, or even that one, I would take that one, maybe put a pedal stool on it for when I'm tooling leather. I could get it up higher.
I have one. I have another one. I think I have it outside. It's only like 3x3. It's tiny. It's like a little mini one.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, these things are typically used in science. In it's called a lab jacks. It's used in laboratories.
There he is.
Where'd you find it at?
My last job.
Didn't have his lunch pail.
What's up, Keith?
What's up, Keith?
Well, hey guys, what's going on?
Hey, Keith.
Justin?
Was
Hey,
that
guys.
was that your post on the teal cyclone?
Yeah, I got back
Look at that. Here we go.
I didn't know they have a 20 pack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we
I
go.
only bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
Five of them.
Do you,
5 of them.
you're a cyclone, right?
Yeah.
Did you get the 2-pack premium set?
What? What 2-pack was that? The Borla?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that one.
You have that one?
Yeah. And then while I was there, and then I noticed I was looking
Nice.
for the 9-pack,
Uh-huh.
but then I saw the 20. I was like, I went to one Target that didn't have the 9-pack, and I saw that. I'm like, hey, wait, what's this? For 20. I'm like, oh God, really? So $100 later, now I have all these 20 packs.
I make points with my lab jack, and now I feel like such an amateur. I just bought like these.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
This is a gasser. It's a
Right. Volvo.
I got that one.
Yeah, the Volvo gasser.
Yep.
And then this guy here.
That's the bone shaker.
I saw the white wheels. I'm like, oh, it's special. It's got white wheels.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's special. Nothing special about it.
Yeah.
But my wife is like, yeah, we're in the supermarket. She goes, are you going to come already with food shopping here? I'm like, I'll be there in a minute. Oh, yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, the
Very
bone
good.
shaker. Yep.
Nice.
It's in the 20 pack. So, Brian, I found this.
The Braille car. Yep.
Brian,
Yep.
is that
That's
anything special?
well, that was done special. The next one's coming out's a silver one. That was for but those have been real popular, and
You call it the Braille car?
yeah, it's got Braille writing on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's got Braille
the
writing on
package
it?
has it,
Huh.
and the car is written in Braille. It says twin mill on the car. It's a twin mill.
see, if
Oh,
they
yeah.
were really cool, they would have put something like "Screw you, American" on there. Round time.
I had to go in. I ran in just to get ink for the printer.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
And of
Yeah.
course, you have to
Every
walk
day.
right. You have to walk right past. And I
Could've gone
found
the other
the
way.
4-pack red edition,
Nice.
And that's
The
Mustang.
pretty limited there.
the question is, did you actually get printer ink?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, actually, I got really excited and almost forgot. But I went back and got the ink.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Ray, you weren't playing around with this carburetor. When did you get it? Yesterday?
What? When did I get it?
Yeah.
No, I think the carb came in earlier in the week,
Oh.
and I took it apart one day, and then did the ultrasonic cleaning, and then at Saks I had to go down to the shop and do stuff. So it was like every other day. Like yesterday, I didn't touch it because I was at the shop all day, and today when I got home from shopping, I put it back together. So yeah, it was like every other day. I would have had it done if I could have done it every day. I would have had it done by Tuesday or Wednesday, but
Oh yeah.
my week was a little scattered. So yeah, I always like to turn stuff over. I don't like to let it sit, especially once I have it apart. I mean, there's nobody in the room where I do this stuff. So, but still, you can forget things, and you know, I just like to get it done, and this way it's done.
So Ray, on your jack though,
yeah,
so you just set the carburetor on there. You didn't bolt it on or anything, right? You just had it sit there, right?
Yeah, just sitting. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, they do have holes in the panel. You could drill other holes, so you could make mounting holes and clamps and do all sorts of stuff. But this is really made for just for raising. Usually when you're doing like stuff in lab with like an optics lab with lasers, you want to raise or lower the laser to align it with a prism or a target, and other things too. You could raise and lower beakers, but I always found it great for doing stuff like that. I just use it even when I want to take a picture. Like sometimes I want the thing at a different height, and certainly when I'm working on it. Like when I was adjusting the float, there's one picture in there. It's kind of bad because I didn't put a white background behind it, but I have the float. The top plate is vertical in a vise, and the vise is on the jack. And I just brought it up to my eye level so I could, get a nice clear.
Yeah, no, I like that, especially. I moved my drill press, but I like that 112 by 12 to put a clamp, a drill press clamp on it.
Right.
And then you like I said, you have it held, and you can raise, like I said, just the height. It's
yeah.
Have you seen those for sale anywhere?
Any scientific company. I'm trying to think of.
I'd probably look on eBay and see what comes across.
This one says brand tech scientific. Yeah, it's brand brandtech.com. Let's see what they show here.
How's the auto show?
Awesome. it went well.
Yeah. Keith went up. I was gonna ride up with him, man, but I had so much stuff to do, I couldn't even make it.
Yeah, and we had pretty crap weather too for the first couple days.
Did you?
But no, it went phenomenally. Yeah, we had
good.
I think I counted 6 cars total that we worked on, and all 6 of them placed.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
We've taken a lot of cool cars, really, really nice stuff as always, but we've never had a car get the reaction that Hemi swapped PT Cruiser did. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you had a picture of a red. Is that a
56?
56, right?
Yeah, I just started on that yesterday. That's
a honey.
We had that one. We did some work on it last summer, and he brought it back.
Yeah,
we're putting a new axle in it. New front axle.
That's what you pulled out. Was at the front? The front.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking.
So, Justin, I want to ask you about that because I've also thought about, I've thought about a lot about a straight axle in my 55. All right, Brian, I just sent you the jack link so you can see that.
You sent me it? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Speedway, I know, sells the kit. And yours, I see, has the like a shackle hanger on one end. What was on the other end? Oh, like a bushing.
Yeah.
So did that car have a straight front end in it already? A straight
It
front
did.
end? So you're using the original mount, the mounting stuff that was
Yeah.
there?
So what we ended up doing was, I mean, we took measurements. We got the same length springs and everything. So as far as frame wise, we're not having to modify anything.
Right.
It's just swapping out. It had an older Chevy style axle that we couldn't, because we wanted to do a brake upgrade. We couldn't get Willwoods for it. He has having some issues with it, and so we're swapping out to a Ford style, better spindles, Willwood brakes, the whole deal. But we got the same length spring, so we can keep all the frame stuff the same.
So let me ask you this: if you had a car that rolled in with a regular coil spring front suspension, control arms and all, and you wanted to put a straight axle in it, how would you go about setting that thing up and getting all your geometry straight?
So typically on something like that, we actually do start off, because we did one a few years ago, a 55, and we actually front sub the whole car.
It's actually a guy I know in Oregon who does that. He makes a stub kit. You cut your frame at the firewall, and there's a plate that gets welded on, and his subframe comes in from that plate. But if you're going to use the original chassis, let's see, because I was thinking about that, and if you're off by a couple degrees, you're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah, like with this one, obviously we'd have pulled everything out and really just assemble everything, roll it under the car, get our ride height figured out, measure and measure and measure.
So I guess what you're going for when you set it up is parallelism between the sides, and I guess square. Like it's just...
square in the chassis. You square your wheelbase, making sure you're centered in your wheel opening. Yeah.
So when you did that from scratch, you didn't do that on a frame table or anything. You did it with the car on the ground.
That one I'm assuming they did. You typically, like if we build one of our Willys where we're building the frame start to finish, yeah, we've got a frame jig and we set everything up.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, like that one, and typically what we'll do on something like that is obviously we took a lot of measurements and made sure that everything was square to begin with. Yeah, we didn't have to start cutting and moving the frame or changing anything.
Yeah.
Because
I was thinking about that too. A friend of mine had given me a straight front axle. It's sitting in my driveway, and it's an old Ford van now, and it's got drum brakes on it. So, my thought was, okay, can you put disc brakes on this thing? I mean, how do you determine if that spindle is going to work without knowing? Like, I don't know exactly what it's out of. I just know he said, it was out of a Ford van or a light truck or something. So,
okay. Yeah, I think that would be really, I mean, kind of where we started with the old setup was we kind of figured out what style it was and then just see what was offered.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, for this one, we were able to order I want to say it's like a 37 to 48 or whatever Ford. I forget what they call it, but the whole kit right from Speedway.
Yeah, Speedway is nice. I have a friend who's got a bunch of Corvettes, and they're all gassers. 60 or 61, a 63 or 64. I know he's got those two, and a 63 Pontiac Tempest, and they're all straight front axle gasser cars. And he started using the Speedway front ends.
Yeah, I just know you have to, wherever you're doing it, you just got to make sure that the your level on the floor, the floor's level to the car, I guess is what I'm.
Well, that's where the frame table comes in, because that establishes your virtual level.
Because I know I've seen, or I've had guys, they go and throw it up on a lift and they start cutting on stuff. And of course the car, again, is, sags or moves, or it's not, the lift isn't straight.
The lift isn't straight. Yeah.
Or they get it up on a lift and then start welding everything in, welding this, welding that. And then you set the car back down and.
Yeah.
I was in a shop the other day and a guy was putting in, control arm bushings, and he was on the lift, and I said, "Hey, you don't want to tighten that up." And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because you're your sprung weight. I mean, you don't have the weight of the car on it. I said you need to go over there and put it on the alignment rack so that you got the weight on it, because you're going to have problems.
You know, a lot of guys miss that. It was a number of years ago. My Mazda, I got hit in the parking lot and I had some wheel damage. So I had it in a body shop, my friend's body shop. And, you know, everything was cool. I knew they had to change the strut. And it hit me when I was at work. I said, oh, wait a minute. And I called him up. I said, hey, listen, the guy putting the strut in and doing that work, I said, does he know how to set? Oh, yeah, we do that all the time. I said, does he know that the car has to be at ride height before you go tightening those control arm bushings and all? I said, otherwise, with the control arms hanging, you tighten the bushings, and now when you load the car, the bushings preload. And case in point, the first car I worked on at this shop that I work for is a 68 Camaro. Real nice car. And it was all redone. It was a resto mod. We did a bunch of other additional stuff to it. But I take it out and drive it. And of course, it was a 383 stroker with a 4-speed, so it was fun to drive. Had, you know, Cal track bars, the whole bit. This car was so not even really, I wasn't beating on it, just getting on, you know, driving it spirited through the gears, giving it a good shift. I noticed the car then, you know, it had a little bit of a shimmy to it. I'm like, what the hell? I looked at the wheels and they were like, you know, offset. Camber. I'm like, wait a minute. So I took the car back, put it on the lift, looked at it, put it down, and they were straight. And then I would drive it, and then it'd be cambered again. And I figured out what it was. When I would pull those shifts, the front of the car would lift, unload the suspension, the wheels, because they were already in load, would take that set. And I said, yep, whoever put this car together bolted on those control arms on the lift. Yep. So I had to do it on the ground, and now try and do that on the ground with, you know, a foot-long torque wrench.
Yeah.
Like you could get like maybe 3 of the 4 it's really hard.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a ramp lift. So
that's what we run into, because we don't have a drive-on hoist at all. But like when we do something like that, we got a couple sets of those race ramps. So we can set cars down on race ramps right off the lift.
Right.
You know, do all that, tighten everything up.
I was amazed at how many guys don't know that. You know, they missed that. Well, first of all, it's 2 things. We talked about, Brian, I talked about this on Sunday too, how guys don't read. They don't read instructions. They don't read manuals. Yep. I guess if you worked at a really good repair shop or a dealership, you would have learned that. I mean,
well, they don't even do that at dealerships. So
I was going to say I worked at neither, but I guess I learned it from reading the manual. You know, I probably read an FSM and picked that up years ago. But it's more important than just to pay it forward and teach the new guys and even the old guys. You know, because one of the guys at the shop was like, he's been doing this a long time. He says, man, I never heard of that. I'm like, well, how many front ends have you done? Well, not too many. He's a collision guy. I said, well, you know, now you learned something. You know, it's take it and go forward. That's all.
Yeah, they get all out of sort real quick.
Sometimes, yeah. So you smack him in the head and tell him, hey, knucklehead, do it right, or don't do it at all.
Yep. Hey, I got a question. Anybody have an old school steering wheel with wood on it?
Yeah, well,
I do have one on a car. It is a wood, it's the one everybody used in the 70s, the 2 pieces of wood that's riveted.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do one on the bus.
Ah, that'd be cool. Yeah, they make a bigger, fatter one with finger grooves in it, which is really cool.
I want to from the back of the seats, the whole front cab part, I want to make it like a car. So I'm gonna wrap the dash and I'm gonna make a custom dash.
I'll show you what would look cool on your bus.
Okay.
You got a chain one there?
I was about to say chain link or the sparkle acrylic ones.
Yeah. The chain, I can put lowrider on it.
You know, the sparkle one would be really cool. This was the cousin of that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Look at
White vinyl, and this is you know what, I don't know what's the diameter. It's big.
See, I would wrap that with a nice leather, the same as the seats.
that one almost looks like a Mustang wheel.
No, you can put this on a Tri-5 Chevy without power steering, and you can actually turn it. This thing is 16 inches, so that's
Yeah.
You know, they make a smaller version, I think a 14 or a 12-inch, but this is the big one. This one is like almost
So that you can put it on this on like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This was sitting. This came off my Nomad, but sitting outside, it was getting rusty. It's still rusty, but you know, like now it's got a little patina, so it's okay. It actually looks okay. But I cleaned up and brought it in the house. I said, good. At least now it'll live in the house until I'm ready to use it again. But
Yeah, I've seen one with the finger grooves. With the back half of it is aluminum, and then the top half where you can wrap it with leather. I think I'm gonna do something like that.
Yeah, I've seen the aluminum one too.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm gonna do the leather seats. You know, custom leather seats and dash will match.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna do the iPad in the dash.
Plus, will be styling.
Yeah, man, I'm not playing. When I pull out of the driveway, it's gonna be on.
Right.
Damn, Coach, you look a little trimmed up there. You got a court date or something?
No,
Goatee's coming in nice.
Not at all.
Yeah, you look. Are you got a black magic marker on that or what?
I did
I
color
remember
it
when mine was
actually.
black. Not black,
Okay.
brown. I remember when
Yeah,
mine
I
was
did
dark.
actually color it.
Yeah. I get asked all the
actually-
time. I get asked, why do you color your mustache but not the rest of your?
I gotta say that is kind of the strangest combination you got going there. I can't figure that one out for the life of me.
My brother's got a red beard. He's got
really?
he's got white hair and he's got a red beard.
No
So,
fooling.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's funny.
but it's funny. I get asked all the time.
Actually-
They say, "Why, Mr. Brian? Why don't you color your rest of your face? Color everything." I said, "I don't color anything. It's au naturel."
Right.
I actually, I have a coach's clinic at the university tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, so
So
you
we
gotta
got
get
one
cleaned
that
up.
I gotta look good.
Talk to you about. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's going to be some NFL coaches there.
Oh, nice.
they're gonna get you. You might move up, coach an NFL team.
You lock up.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Coach,
sure.
you there?
So I got my LEDs.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Pretty. Yeah, we can hear
Yeah.
you. So I got my LEDs pretty much put in. I got to do my running lights down the side. I'm putting 10 on each side.
Did you look at that at your flasher situation any further?
Yeah. One of the blinker bulbs on the driver's side was bad. Remember I told you that one was bad?
Oh yeah.
I ordered new ones. I put those in, and now everything works fine.
Perfect.
That
Good.
bulb had it doing funny stuff.
Okay. Good.
So, yeah. So now I got to drill some holes and put my running lights, my chicken lights down the side.
Right.
So I'm doing 5 at the top and 5 down the middle on both sides. So it'd be lit up pretty good.
Yeah.
Not gonna lose you.
Nope. Sunshine, baby.
Just make sure you got the right colors going the right direction, front and back. That's all.
Yeah.
You gotta have
Red facing back.
either one red in the back, and then you can have orange all the way on the side.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Just drive in Michigan. They don't ever seem to care.
Yeah. Man, I seen a semi go by today. He had all purple down the whole side. It was lit. It was nice.
Yeah, there's a guy that runs around here, and there's a couple of them, but this one guy, I don't know how. If I put one, hell, I got in so much trouble because of not running those DOT headlights in the front of my truck because I run, 100 120s or whatever for my headlights. And he said, those lights look awful bright. And I said, well, I just want to see at night. That's what I told him.
Yeah.
Man.
So now I got good wiring, relays, and solid connections and good ground. So I have good conductivity.
Yeah. I want
Speaking of wiring, I had another tool on my list a long list of Lyle tools, and I bought these this week.
Oh, the thing to jab through, to run it through,
Yeah.
yeah.
The wire insertion thing. Louis, you take this. It's a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch shaft with like a baloney cut end on it, so you could push that through a grommet or through something soft. And the handles have holes in them,
And
so
you run the wire through
in here, and you push the wire straight through, so you can go through a bulkhead or firewall.
I needed that yesterday.
That's the older kit. You don't have the angle one in there.
This is just 2 straights.
Oh, we have one. We sell one from Lyle. It has an angle on it, which makes it nice.
Oh yeah.
Like when you're up underneath and you get it in there, so that if you're not like under, that's going the wrong way.
I was wondering, I was thinking sometimes you may not have the straight on room to get this thing through.
I'm mad right now. You should have seen me fighting trying to get it through this one part. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, right. That's put on my list for a while, and I had to put an Amazon order together, and I had to order a couple extra things to get free shipping. I'm like, all right, give me those damn Lyle tools. I'll take those. Put them in there.
So I got a question.
Yes.
From the factory, or not the factory, I guess it was the school district. All the lights, like the running lights and the 3 lights on the back and the front, they didn't have the grounds hooked up.
Really?
They just had
grounded to the body.
Well, they had the wire coming from the light into the harness, and that's it.
They probably had the housing on the metal of the body, and it was picking up a ground from there.
Oh yeah.
Which is inside that light, inside the one light. There'll be like where one of the bolts go through. It has an eyelid on it, a metal eyelid that's connected to the body base.
Well, those bad boys are coming out.
Yeah,
and I'm putting in the small LEDs, so I'm going to have to run those to ground, right?
That's like we were talking with Tyler. A body ground can be used if the body is grounded back to the battery, but steel is not as good a conductor as copper or even aluminum, so it's not the best conductor. It will work, and for a light, it'll work better than for other things. But
especially with the LEDs, right?
The LEDs, you're gonna run a common ground to the LEDs.
Now,
like on my tool truck, they have. I think there's like a ground wire, and then they tap them into the ground wire, because it's like the wire comes along, the ground even comes off, and then they shoot off of that to each individual light.
Right.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to run a stud in the back.
Right.
Maybe weld it to somewhere. Frame,
and then I had a light flickering problem. So what I did was I just regrounded the back of that. Okay. Just put in another ground.
Maybe because the box shifted, the ground moved with it.
I don't know.
Ground shifted too.
So my question is, can I have too many grounds or no?
No, never. Okay. You can never have enough grounds.
Remember the rule: you can have too many power taps, but you can never have too many grounds.
All right, because I'm gonna ground that.
Redundancy is your friend.
Because even like I said, we used to have this problem back on the 911s or the 944s were really bad with this, especially first gen 944s. They had one main ground, and it would get a little corrosive. And next thing you know, it was trying to find the ground through the heater cables. So what would happen is the heater cables would actually heat up and break. So, you go to pull it out, and it looked like it caught on fire. And you're like, well, what the hell is this? And then you realize that was the ground source was going through there. The same thing with the shifter cables on the automatics and stuff like that. So you can it never hurts putting an extra ground or two.
Just gonna say, back in the 70s, Firebirds had that problem, and what it was the engine ground to the firewall that would break,
or somebody would take it off because they
right
switch the motor and take it off.
And what it would do is it'd find ground through the shifter cable because it's a great conductor, and that conductor now over time would. I guess it would. The shifter cable got brittle. It wasn't not that it's soft to begin with, but from
That type
passing
of metal
ground,
wasn't.
it got to the point where the shifter got hard and guys were bringing the cars in for shifter problems, but it was really because the cable was being used as a ground.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Overground. You can always overground. You can never have enough grounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna put studs everywhere, and then run wire from studs.
You'd be surprised. You'd fix some problems. We used to take just a ground battery cable, just a grounded battery cable, 2 eyelids, and ground the motor, to the back of the firewall or something, and that would clear up a lot of really weird problems.
Louis, I'll send you the diagram. It's in that. It's in the. It's in that book I showed you last week. In the who the hell are they? The wiring.
The electrical book or the Bosch book?
Ron Francis.
Okay.
Basically, it's a real easy ground path. It's the general rule is, come on, get in there.
Remember, I got 40 feet.
Battery. Well, yeah, I know, but it'll work. Battery ground to engine, then from engine to chassis. And then you're tied into the chassis. So in the back, you can ground it, put another ground from the body to the chassis.
Okay.
It kind of you make a whole ground plane out of all the sheet metal, and then battery to core support, because that's where your front lights are grounded to the core support. Now you just tied that back to everything. Should go back to the battery at some point. And like I said, even on my Fiat, I ran a whole nother cable from the back all the way to the front. Just tie it up along the body, and you can never have too many grounds.
I was just going to say something about that battery to the core support deal.
Yeah,
I just did that on the Bronco.
Okay, I will
on the 914 on my 914 when after driving it, for a little bit and the motor and everything warm up. If I'd stop somewhere and go to get back in it and start it, the starter was real hesitant. I got underneath and I found a grounding strap had broke on the transaxle, and I went and got a new grounding strap and grounded the transaxle straight to the body, and I've never had a problem since. It's got a strong starter all the time now.
And that's how the starter comes on the back side of that.
Yeah.
That's what it's bolted to. So that's like I said, I don't know what on the. I guess it was on the Honda Civics back in the day. They had that little ground strap that went from the power steering pump over to the radiator core support. Everybody took that thing off when they worked on that car, never put it on. And that was nothing. I can't tell you how many we had to put back on because you had weird problems and things not grounded, or just crazy stuff. So
you know what, Justin, one of the grounds, I'm going to share my screen here. One of the grounds that I like are these braided straps.
Yes.
So this is from the cylinder head, and you can't see it because of the hose in the way, but this is going right down to the chassis. That's that ground. And then there you go. Battery negative, right to the core support.
You're not sharing the screen.
What happened?
I'm seeing it in my head, though.
I can
seeing
picture
it in my head.
But the only ground strap I see is from Coach Isaac's ear to his ground with his cable like mine. We're grounded that way.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
you
grounded
go.
too? Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Those are.
So it's another battery negative, right to core support, and this is where I use the double star washers up here.
Yep.
With the with the other
with
stuff.
the extra coat of epoxy paint, right?
Right. Well,
yeah.
Then you can paint over it.
Yeah.
No. That's you extra coat. Then you put the star washers on the epoxy paint.
So here you go. This is right out of Ron Francis, and it's showing you, battery negative to frame and to engine block, and from engine block to steel body, from engine block to a grounding terminal strip, so you'd ground everything. It's just like, it's a very simple thing, and they show you the ground strap at the bottom, and you can buy those. Standard sells them. And
they sell them at Vance Auto or any of those places.
I was going to say auto parts stores. And
any auto parts store has them.
They sell them. Standard sells them. I think I've bought them in 6, 8, and 12-inch lengths. And then I actually have a roll of braided copper that's thinner. It was used for circuit work, but you could use it for small grounds, like if you want to use from a dash or whatever, and you could crimp. You can crimp a soldering end on it. So
Now,
ground everything. Ground the cat too.
Yeah,
now once
just-
you bolt it down, what's a good paint to put over top of it?
Anything.
Really?
I mean, like I said, I use dielectric grease. I'll put a dielectric silicone in between at the junction to keep the moisture out and all, because it will conduct through it. I actually did a test. I took a small circuit with and without dielectric grease, and I measured the resistance. There was no difference in resistance. I even measured it, right, put it on my hand and measured it, and it was like zero resistance. It was offered none. It conducts. It doesn't resist electricity, and then you can top coat it with any paint you want, if you want
spray
to.
right over. I mean, like I said, you can spray it. You just want to make sure when you bolt it down that you have. That's why the dielectric grease is pretty good, because you're going to have metal there. It coats all that stuff. I mean, it just keeps it from.
But that's also why I use the star washers, because the star washers will bite into the substrate, and I'll put it below that cable and above the cable, so the bolt bites into the washer bolt bolts into the cable, then the cable presses on the next washer, which presses onto the substrate, being whatever metal it is, and and you're good to go. You're way ahead of what any factory ever did, because I mean, they just bolt it to the thing and they go. A lot of times they didn't even clean off the paint. They let the little points of the star washer clean off the paint, which it technically does work, but I take my whiz wheel and clean that area. I make it clean.
You'd be surprised sometimes just by loosening that bolt, and you see everything move, then you tighten it back up, you clean the surface, and you get there's a big. That's why sometimes I tell these guys, did you check your grounds? And they say, yeah. I said, no, did you loosen and tighten back up again?
Right.
Because any kind of corrosion or or like I said, especially battery wise, I've actually seen where a cable is broken. And so when you loosen it, it finished breaking. It was already broken, but it came apart at the terminal.
Right. Right.
And that's what you got to, you get some crazy stuff.
See, the thing is, when you overground any circuit, you could have a couple of bad ones, but like the good ones make up for the bad ones. So
yeah, you'll never. You won't be stranded for having a bad ground.
But one bad power feed, and now your day is ruined, because whatever it was supposed to power ain't gonna get powered.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to do it right, man, because I don't want to be broke down nowhere.
No.
You got it.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
But I do have a lot of friends around the country that I can call. Hey, I'm in your town. Come get me.
I'm on your corner. Yeah, I just rolled onto your block.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, very true. Keep that cell phone charged.
Yeah, man. Well, I got the solar going in, so I should be good.
Nice.
I got a couple different ways of heat, solar, plug up. I'm
redundancy is the way to go. Yeah. One system
generator
is available, use the next one.
Yeah, I got the generator. I mean, should be good.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Got a big fridge for the wife because she eats a lot.
Nice.
Putting the bathroom in there, so
you need that
every half hour. I gotta go to the bathroom. Hit the back, baby.
You gotta have that. That's right.
Yeah.
Just hanging out the window.
Man, my grandkids, man, I took them to Florida. We went down to see Doc. And man, every 20 minutes, I gotta pee. I finally got to the point where it's like, look, buddy, I know you're my grandkid, but you're about to take a hit if you don't shut up and sit back. And at least give me an hour or two.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's when you gotta hand them. That's when you hand them the jar and say, "Go sit in the back."
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
that's killing
my
me.
kids did that in my RV, and I'm like, they're back there. I'm like, oh, they're in the bathroom, and I just, oops, this little jerk of the steering wheel. Sorry.
Kids.
That's awesome. Oh yeah.
So
It's not like they don't
today,
pee all over the place in there anyway. So what's the
all right. So today, downtown Youngstown, we have it's a music hall, and man, they had 4 of those Prevost buses out front. Man, they were $1 million a piece, man.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know what band. It's. They said it was a Christian rock band, but man, you should have seen these buses. And then the semis pulling their equipment came in, and that's where I seen that one with all the purple lights. These semis were all hooked up. I mean, they had the super cabs. Oh man, I don't know who it was, man, but they had some money.
Yeah. So Lewis, your bus, someone was just asking me about your chassis. That's a fully boxed truck chassis in that thing, right? It's a full perimeter chassis, rather.
Yeah, it's not boxed though. It's
not boxed.
C.
Oh, it is a C channel.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected then. Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah, even on my tool truck, it's C channeled.
So, are you at the end of the day? How much weight are you taking out and then putting back in? Are you going to be net heavier or net lighter than you were?
Lighter.
Okay.
Oh no, not necessarily. No, I'll be heavier, but I'll be under the weight. Like it's I think the rating is 30,000. I should be around 25.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. That from what I'm seeing on other guys' builds.
So if you're on the interstate, would you have to stop at the weigh stations?
No,
I didn't think so.
No
Just
DOT.
commercial trucks.
Yeah, he doesn't have to have a DOT.
Okay.
Nope.
That's the catch-22. What pisses me off because
Anybody can drive without a CDL.
Yeah, he could drive it. He could drive it without a CDL. He doesn't have to have a medical card. He doesn't. He's over the 10,000 pounds, but he doesn't have to buy anything.
You can tow an excavator behind him.
Yeah. But God forbid that I have something not right on my truck and it's all end of the world. I'm too wide because I left my step out.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
You had your lights on.
Yeah.
I agree. You could never ever have a vehicle with air brakes and go into a dealership, buy an RV, and roll out with it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So,
did you see Pascal's comment?
Who?
Papa Squirrel? Did he comment?
About
I didn't see.
Papa Squirrel.
Yeah, damn, Isaac, that mustache is
Yeah,
dark.
in the private chat.
Oh, in the private, I was on the other side.
What do you say?
Too much corrosion.
On my box truck, if there's too much corrosion on the battery terminal, it won't start.
Well, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Clean it.
Yeah, I had a problem. I had a 94 Jimmy with a 350 in it, and it would randomly not start. And I checked everything out, starter, it had a separate, for some reason, it had a separate solenoid, like one of those Ford solenoids. I got rid of that thing. I was troubleshooting everything. And like, well, maybe I was looking for grounds. I'm like, I didn't do any of the motor work or anything. And I'm like, I don't see a good ground here. So I just took jumper cables, hooked one end to the block, one end to the frame, went in there, and the thing started right up.
Yep.
Yep.
There
I was
you
like,
go.
oh, all right, that's the deal. And I just put a big, nice ground strap right from the motor to the frame.
Sure.
Well, you were talking about that Ford solenoid.
Yeah.
Put in that they put that's a kit to put in because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we used to had to do that to the 911s also because of heat. It was always because of heat, and we would have to put a Ford solenoid in and do that wiring to solve that. But again, like I said, I can't say 90% of the time, but a good percentage of the time, you just added the ground wire back, ground it.
So that's
and
what happened.
it took care of the problem.
I took that thing. I'm like, what do I already have a solenoid on the starter. I don't need two solenoids. So I chunked that solenoid, hooked the wires, and then I probably had problems after that.
All right, Keith, you know what they did? I learned this when I was a rebuilder. There was, Ford starters always never had a solenoid. It was up on the fender well. But the Lincolns, some of the Lincolns the starter actually came with a a GM solenoid on it.
Huh.
And what we had, there was a piece of metal that was bent that went on the battery stud up to the other terminal on the starter to basically to short it, because they still relied on the solenoid up on the firewall, the fender well. I don't know why they made that starter with the solenoid and they didn't use it, but it was only the Lincolns. Just a little piece of Ford trivia.
I gotta go crawl under the Mark 6 then.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look at that.
yeah. It had it had a Ford starter, but it was a standalone starter with a GM solenoid on it.
Yeah.
GM style
It
solenoid.
was probably something with the torque or the length of that. And they probably didn't have another, a starter to do that.
Yeah, because the Ford starters were never really super robust. They never had like a high torque version. Like GM
Right.
always had low torque, high torque. The Fords didn't. So I guess, for the big 460s, they came out with another starter and, probably used some GM parts, just like some of the Chryslers had quadrajets on them.
Yeah.
I guess they probably just they used what they could get their hands on but kept the other solenoid. So,
Yeah.
Wait, guys, I got to jump ship.
all right, Lewis.
Everybody have a good
Yeah, I gotta do the same.
good weekend.
All right.
Can't
You
wait.
too, man.
And I will be
Take care, Lewis.
posting pictures. All right, you too. I'll be posting pictures of the bus stuff because I'm really getting into it now.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah, buddy.
What did you do, Lewis? Did you give the puppy 2 shots of tequila and he went to sleep or what?
I gave him a
Good
biscuit
dog.
and he jumped on the couch and went to sleep.
Wow.
Good dog.
Yeah, he's a
Nice.
good puppy.
Yeah, good luck with the Dalmatian.
Yeah, he's good. Good dog.
Nice.
He's gonna be. I don't think I had to take him for a ride no time soon.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, they could be a little temperamental though.
Yeah, yeah. When you try to put him in a cage, he gets a little funny.
Yeah, Dalmatians aren't as like I said, they're a little temper.
Yeah,
So
Yeah. He's a good dog. I put some electric to him. That'll straighten him right up.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't make sure you ground them real good.
yeah, put an extra ground on the tail.
Yep. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Have a
All
good
right,
week.
take it easy, Lewis.
All right,
See you, man.
All
later.
right, take care. Be safe.
So I was
Yeah.
going through the bookshelf. I found this beauty, Brian.
Oh yeah, the
The
ABCs of ham.
hand tools.
That's Primitive Pete,
It's the little
caveman.
caveman on there.
That's his
Of course,
name,
it's got the whole
Primitive Pete.
profile. It's got all his tools, his tool trail over here
Yep.
with his wrenches and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see, the illustrations, and
I educated a lawyer on Primitive Pete.
they show you everything from how to use files,
Yep.
Files and hammers. And then I guess as you got more educated and went towards the back of the book, you actually learned micrometers.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's what you needed to know to work in a shop back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah,
Is he
got him
related?
all over the place. That little cute little cave boy.
Yep.
Is he related to that 3-finger Bill or whatever?
No,
it
that's
was?
3-finger Joe.
Yeah, 3-finger Joe.
Oh, let's see what the date. If this is dated.
That was a great song.
Thank Brian for
good.
that.
The handshake of death.
1945. This book
Yep.
is dated.
Nice.
But then I went in and I found more of my old stuff. I found the Starrett book for student
Oh, yeah.
machinists. And again, just all your scales, different
Oh, yep.
scales, and how to run a lathe.
Yeah, that stuff's awesome, man. I love that
Oh,
In
stuff.
fact, how to run a lathe.
Yeah.
And
There it is.
I mean, they get into screw pitch, and I mean, like if you want to, you want to make screw pitches and the whole 9 yards. But
Nice.
wonder what this one's dated. The care and operation of a screw cutting lathe, 1906. It's established 1906. That's South Bend. But when is the book from? They printed it first in 1914, and this one was 1958. This printing.
Yeah, I thought that one the founding.
Then we got the young machinist's handbook.
Yeah.
You're a young machinist. This one was from 1966. We're getting into the modern era.
The modern 66.
Yeah.
Right.
I never thought I was modern, but okay.
Practical Shop Mathematics.
Wow.
This is another goodie. I mean, they start the book with let's go right with geometry. You know, all your triangles. We'll start with that. This one is from, let's see.
Nice.
What is this from? But this is the stuff, obviously if you were in school, you had to learn this stuff, but and it was all basically, if it was,
Papa Squirrel said Army manuals. That's what they look like.
yeah. If you were going to be, if you were in a technical program, I don't see a date. Yeah, this one has all the. This one's got
That's
all
how
the.
they should do the
Get all the
math
and all
classes
the,
for. That's how they should do the math classes for high school. Is you do your general math and then you do an applied math. You can choose a subject that you're interested in.
Look at that. Practical Shop Mathematics.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And it looks, it's not going to, but it looks more like a math textbook than, anything else, because that's what you needed to know. Oh, there's a whole chapter on the slide rule. A whole chapter.
Yeah, but the whole chapter.
I don't think too many guys would be reading that.
Is there a chapter on what is it called? The abacus?
No, they didn't do the abacus.
Oh, man.
But they did do the slide rule.
Yeah,
there you go. Well, my hop off, guys.
Okay, Justin, take care.
Justin.
You done?
Yeah, I'll call it a night.
You
Get
got
up early
smart.
morning.
That's
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, close enough. All right, keep building those cool cars. Keep me jealous.
Will do. All
You're
right.
doing a good job of it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I appreciate it too.
All right. You guys have a good one.
I got
You too, be safe.
see they did Back to the Future when Biff got his
Doc
car
Brown.
with all
right.
the crap
Biff's car,
Oh,
yeah.
is that,
with all the
Biff's car,
crap
okay.
on it when
Yeah, all the manure.
you just
That is
found that?
funny.
yeah, I just found it.
That's funny.
Wow.
That's that one, and then of course the
deal.
Matchboxes are doing the 70th anniversary. So this one's pretty, the 6x6 Mercedes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. That's wild. Yeah,
So
that's cool.
I left the but and then they did the new body style on, or not, this is a new casting, but it was the Jaguar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Was that
the
based off of
Daytona car or
the Steve McQueen?
That's D-type,
D-type, yeah.
the race car.
Very
I left
cool.
the Porsche in the tool truck.
Is that the same kind that Steve McQueen had?
I don't know if that's what he had. An E-type, I thought.
Was it
Yes,
an
he did
E-type?
have an E-type. Yes.
E-type had a roof. This was open cockpit.
He had an E-type and he sold it and he bought it back. He looked for it for years and he finally bought it back. I think it was green, a British racing green.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the two cars. Yeah,
Yep. I have two of them. I don't know why I buy two sets.
I've been cleaning out, and I came across. I had like 3 extra sets, and I was like, the Mustang. Yep. Yeah, I got
That's
that
the same
one.
year as yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know someone's keeping Matchbox in business. Well, I did too. I even bought a couple. Well, it's Matchbox. I bought a couple of Hot Wheels.
Yeah, the new. That's the.
The
that's a
Cosworth,
new
ain't
one.
it?
That's the. Huh?
Yeah, the Cosworth, the Sierra
Cosworth.
Cosworth. The Ford
Yep.
Cosworth.
Oh, so yeah, going back to the Audi, Chris gave me a ton of crap when I had my over my Audi 5000. You got a Kiss pickup truck, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everything's
I
cyclone.
got the new
I got
BMW.
I got the Kiss funny car.
Yeah, that's the
Wow.
one I got, Ray.
Yeah.
I got that one. I've never seen the pickup truck.
Yeah, if it's a cyclone, I have it.
Yep.
That's cool. Everybody's pulling out cards.
Oh yeah, you do. That's all Cyclone. Yep. That's the new Knight Rider.
They got a problem. They got a cyclone problem.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Been a couple weeks. We're trying to get caught up.
You got a long way to go, my friend.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, I like that one.
I don't know what the
Maverick.
Maverick. Yeah, it's nice.
I would love to have a Maverick.
See if I can get some light on this one.
Is that oh, that's yeah. Yep. It's a Johnny Lightning.
I don't know. I got so much crap here.
So why do you give you crap for the 5,000?
I already had this one.
I had that car before I knew him, and then as we were talking about cars, I said, "Yeah, I bought an Audi 5000." He was just down on the Audis, and rightfully so. I mean, those cars had some electrical issues, and when I bought it, I have a good friend who's still like the top Audi guy. Like he gets sent out once the other dealers found out who this guy was. They all borrow him on the cars that their guys can't fix.
Yeah.
And he puts so many hours into these cars a lot of times that they can't even they can't charge for the hours. They can't bill the hours. So if they can't bill the hours, they can't pay him. So he gets like, you know, time, and they give him anything they can give him. They give him to kind of make up for it because he fixes these cars. But I bought my Audi from a guy that he worked with, another dealer mechanic, and as soon as I bought it,
those are all Zamex.
I went into the shop, and he says, "Here, I want to give you some stuff." And he goes into the bottom drawer of his toolbox, and he says, "Here, CV joint." A customer came in with, I think it was an Audi, it was a 90. Is that the one that replaced the 5000? Yeah. And
100. It was a 100.
A 100, right. Complained of a noise. We changed his joint. This is a brand new CV joint. We put it in the car. He drove it, like 5 miles and came back and still didn't like it. So we took it out. It's brand new. He goes, "We couldn't put it back in stock. Take this." He gave me a hydraulic pump that was reconditioned because you're going to need this.
Yeah.
I never needed it, by the way.
Wow.
And he just gave me all this stuff that he had in his toolbox from, takeoff stuff. And the guy tells me, I buy the car, and he tells me, "Yeah, there's a problem with the dash lights. The dash lights aren't working." I'm like, "All right." He goes, "Oh, yeah, and the sunroof has a problem." I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." So I get home and I start playing around it. Well, this Yahoo had put in a graphic equalizer under the left side of the dash, but Audi mechanic, he used drywall screws, and he came right through and pierced the circuit board twice. That was a light control circuit board. So I took that apart. The circuit board was forget about. So I actually repaired it. I did my magic on the circuit board. What do you know? Now the dash lights worked. So I'm like, good. This is the Audi mechanic. The sunroof was another problem. I had to go into my brother's old literature, and I got the diagram on, the procedure for how to set that thing up. It took me the better part of a day to set that sunroof up, but I got it working. I got
what year 5,000?
85.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it was funny because I put the car on the road on a Friday, and we had to go to a family wedding out in Montauk, which is the end of the island. It's like 100-something miles the next day. I was like, so my wife's like, "You're going to take that car?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's the new car. Let's take it."
Yeah.
And I tell you, man, I saw right away what a good road car it was.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal on the road. But
885, I mean, that time period wasn't too bad because it wasn't overly engineered yet, or complicated wise.
Right.
When they got into right before, like towards the very end, like 86, 87, 88, those years before they went in, before they had the unaccelerated issue.
Right.
Then the 89s turned, all the 5,000s turned into 100s, and then they didn't have the problem with that anymore. They didn't have the bad press.
My brother used to get those recalls all the time. Those the unintended acceleration recalls all the time. He goes, "What a crack of shit this is."
Yeah.
He goes, "These things this doesn't happen." He goes, "But you know what?" He goes, "I get like 30 units for doing it." He goes, "I'll bang these out all day."
Yeah.
And
the funny part was they, in the 944 at that time, the automatic transmission was an Audi transmission from Audi, and it was the same transmission that was in the 5000.
Yeah.
And it was funny, one day there's the guy standing there that owns the car, and parts department rolls out, all the transmissions here for so-and-so's car. And I was like, okay, brings it out, drops it off in my bay. And what is it in? It's in an Audi box.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at me and goes, that transmission for my car? And I said, yeah, that's the transmission for your car. And he goes, well, that's an Audi transmission. And I was like, yeah, well, they're sister companies. They're the same parts. There's a lot of, intertwingling. And he goes, I'm not going to have the problem with unacceleration problem. And I was like, well, did you have the problem before? And he goes, no. And I said, well, then you're not going to have the problem.
Yeah, if you think about it, it could have been in a VW box, and it still could have worked.
Well, back then that's actually some of them. I don't know if I have. I most of my boxes are. Most of my stuff is old enough where it would just say either Audi or be in a Porsche box or an Audi box.
I think the stuff that I have that's in boxes either says Audi or Porsche also. Yeah.
Right, but during that time period, early 90s, it started going to all three. It would have all three symbols on them. It would have the Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche symbols on them. So
that was the car. It was about a year later after I was driving it that I started getting the left CV on the left side started making noise on turns. I'm like, that's a CV joint. And I pull into a gas station. I got on full lock and it popped out. I was like,
wow.
Oh shit. But then I turned the wheel and it popped back in. I said, okay, I'm driving this home and I'm only going to turn it a quarter of the wheel.
Yeah.
And I drove it like that. And I said, you know what? I got that brand new CV joint. So at the time I was working with a friend of mine. He worked at a tire shop. That's where I got all those used batteries and stuff from. I was talking about. So we would go in there at night, and he lined up jobs during the day. His boss was cool. He let him use the shop for whatever he wanted. And he just said, if you sell tires or if you sell shocks or batteries, just pay me. Otherwise, whatever you make is yours. So we would have like 8 cars lined up, and we would just bang out. We were doing struts with just a regular. The claw compressor on the ground, we would have the struts out, swapped and back in like 40 minutes, both sides.
Yeah.
It was like working like a machine. We were doing coil spring jobs, we were doing all sorts of stuff. So one night, and it was funny, I might have told you this story at one point. I think his wife called him. He goes in to take a phone call. I said, okay, I'll take a break. I'll have a beer break. So I'm sitting outside. It was in the summer, nice and warm. I'm sitting there, and the owner, this guy Howie, an old Jewish guy, he looked like Ed Asner. he came, and because he would shuffle when he walked, he didn't really walk. He came shuffling up the driveway to the shop. The bay door is wide open. It's like I said, summer. And Howie just came in, and he looked at the cars outside. He looked inside on all the lifts and on the free spaces, and he said, "These cars are all yours, huh?" I'm like, well, Howie, they're not mine. He goes, no, they're here for you, right? I'm like, yeah, we worked on all these cars. He goes, you guys did more work tonight than we did during the day. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I know, and it's going in our pockets too. So, and he was cool with that, which was good. So now it's like 11 o'clock, maybe 10:30. And I said, okay, listen, we're done a little early. I'm going to throw my car in the lift and swap this U-joint. And I just done 2 U-joints that night, one on a Buick and one on a Chevy, and just releasing the clip, popping it off, slamming the new one in, back in. 20 minutes, done. Put my Audi up there, go to push it in. The U-joint isn't releasing. I can't get the U-joint off, so I'm tapping it with a hammer. Tapping with a hammer ends up being a sledgehammer, whacking on this freaking joint. I can't get it to release. Literally, I broke it apart off the axle. I said, okay, thank God that's over. Clean the splines, give them a light coat of white grease, took my new U-joint, pushed it in, wanted to hear it go click. It wouldn't go click. So I'm like, what the hell? All right. So I took it off, turned it, tried a couple different ways, and now I'm looking at the splines under like a magnifying glass. I'm cleaning each individual spline, looking at the U joint. I said, now it's like, 12 o'clock. We want to go home, and now we're getting tired, and got that joint on. I got it within maybe 5 millimeters of clicking on the inner, on the inner clip. So finally, now I got it up through the knuckle. I'm buckling up, and Gerard comes back and he says, "Oh, you got it. You finally got it on." I was like, "No, I didn't." I said, "But I figure if I put it up and put it through the knuckle, it can't come off because the knuckle's captured. It can't come off. It can only go on more." I said, "So I'm driving it that way. I'm taking it home, dude. It's like 12:30 now. I got to get out of here. I got to go to work in the morning." So, wouldn't you know it, it worked, but in about a month, it failed. And I went back. I was talking to my friend Lenny. I said, "Lenny, that freaking U-joint you gave me, what?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, he did what you did." He goes, "I have a lot of trouble changing U-joints. They just don't, it's like it has to be mated to that axle." Because what I did, I went and bought a rebuilt axle and put the whole freaking axle in the car. And that's where I learned about the big spline Allen. No, I guess it had to be like a, what do you call that driver? It wasn't a Torx driver.
You had the 12-point, or you
12
had
point,
12-point, and then you had
12-point male.
Yeah, they had 12-point, and then some of the replacements were Allens.
Because I was lucky, because in my brother's toolbox that I have, he had them in there from working at the dealership. I'm like, "Oh, good, I got that. I don't have to go buy one. I have it."
Yeah.
And I just changed. And so he's telling me like, "Oh yeah, that happened." I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me that when you gave me the U-joint?" Well, I didn't think of it. I'm like, "Dude, you don't know what that did." I was like, 12 o'clock at night. I said, "I can't leave the car in the shop because the next morning they're bringing cars in for tires."
Right.
I said, "I can't leave this car there." So yeah, that was the only time I came close to being stranded, and it was in a shop.
Yeah.
Freaking out.
Yeah. And really, the only problem with it's like my fuel pump situation, right? The guy Sonny had given me a fuel pump from an Audi 4000.
Yeah.
And I figured
I did a fuel pump in that car too. You're right.
And so, he gave it to me. So it's been sitting here. Here I go. I go to pull mine out because it's dead. And I take it out there. And of course, it took me forever because I had the banjo bolts and the lines are plastic.
Right.
You know, and like I said, you got to be really careful. The corrosion. It took me, I literally spent almost 4 hours saving all the lines, soaking and getting them off. So then I go to put the new fuel pump, and it's a hair different. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, I have another fuel pump in my cabinet. So I, dig through, find that, and the inlet's different. Actually, I almost put it on, but the biggest thing I didn't want to mess up because I did not want to cut here's the hookups for the power and ground.
Yes.
They're not bolted. The other ones were bolted, and these plugs screw on. They're watertight.
Right.
And I didn't want to mess up the ends. So I said, you know what? I got on to looked on the internet, found the fuel pump. They said they could have it to me in 2 days. Well, it showed up today.
Oh, wow.
So, I just figured I didn't want to cut the wiring. I didn't want to get into cutting the wiring harness and all that stuff.
Right.
And then I kind of thought about it. At least I know I had the right check valve.
Yeah.
So I just said, I'll just wait. It's, wait till the weekend. And I'll put this, I'll get this in.
Yeah, you're not in a
like
rush.
I said,
you're not going anywhere. It's not like you have to take it to work.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
that Audi 5000, isn't that the one that was in Magnum PI?
The 5000? I don't think
Magnum PI.
No. Hey, I just found the red
silver Audi. There was
I'm
a silver Audi in Magnum.
going through my old registrations. I just found a registration for my Escort. It was an '83 Escort.
I don't know. I don't
flat.
remember Magnum with an Audi.
I don't either.
Usually Higgins drove it, but once in a while when the Ferrari was down,
That's
Magnum
a good
would
memory.
take it.
It might have been a 5,000. I
That's a
don't
good
think they, I
memory.
don't think they had the they
I
didn't
found
have the they didn't have the it would, if it was Higgins today, it would have been an A8.
Why don't these cameras focus?
Yeah.
What is that for the Audi?
Yeah, why won't it
it's too-
focus? That's stupid. It focuses on me. Why can't I focus on this? It was an 84.
84? Yeah.
Yep, 84. Weighed
Yeah, they had the
3,042
four
pounds.
headlight. They had the four headlights, right? They had the four headlights in the front, square ones. It was
Yes, you're right.
It wasn't the
They were square.
capsulated or wasn't the big
No, it wasn't like the Euro. No,
yeah.
they were square. See, this is one of the things I do. I have every
Yeah.
registration.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
it.
like that. That was
So
like
maybe-
that. That was at 5,000. Yep.
I have every registration for my cars that I've ever had. I have another. These are all the current ones. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I just save them all. I always save my registrations. Got them all. 84.
84.
I tell you, it was a good road car, but like I said, when Chris heard that, I don't know. I guess he maybe had some dealings with an Audi. I don't know, but like I said, whenever I mentioned it, he always was merciless. And I said, "Listen, dude, I'll tell you one thing. But besides what I had to fix that the Audi mechanic screwed up, I said my car was dead nuts reliable. I took it everywhere. Well, then again, my wife and I were going away on a weekend, get away from the baby at the time. My mom was going to babysit, and we're taking off. We're going to go upstate for the weekend, and I'm on approaching the Bronx, and it was in the summer, and we're in stop and go traffic, and I'm like, man, how come the AC's getting warm? It's like it ain't really keeping up. What's going on? Well, when I pulled off the road and saw that I lost the belt. It was
Yeah.
the alternator belt. So I'm like, oh shit, now what am I gonna do? So I pull off the road in the middle of the Bronx, the South Bronx, which
That's when you went to your buddy at the Audi dealership, right?
well,
Or Lenny or whatever.
right. I'll tell you what
Yeah, you
happened
told
with
me.
that. He's all the way back in the five towns in Long Island again. So I pull over and I go to a bodega and I said, you know what? Let me see if the old wives' tale works. And I bought a pair of legs pantyhose
Uh-huh.
and I wrapped them around to make a belt out of it. And it kind of worked because I needed the alternator to work, to charge.
Well, that was the funny part about those cars because it was the configuration was screwed up on that because you had like three belts going in three different directions, working three different components on the.
Right.
I mean, it just wasn't one belt going
No.
around all of it. It was you had three belts, and like I said, if the alternator stopped, if the AC stopped, you had no alternator.
Yeah, I think the hydraulic pump was on its own belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess the AC and alternator together. So anyway, this is before cell phones. It was that early. So at the bodega, I got some change, and I call up Lenny at the dealership. It's like, Lenny, he's right. Hey, what are you doing, Ray? I'm like, listen, I'm not far. He lived in the Bronx. It's like, I'm not far from your house. He goes, well, I'm at work. What are you doing? He goes, yeah, you don't understand. I got a problem with the Audi. I'm kind of stuck. And I said, I lost the belt. And I did. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, listen. He goes, can you get the car to my apartment building in Riverdale? I'm like, yeah, I'm not too far from there. I'm only about 5 miles. I actually had to go into like an AutoZone and buy a cheap set of metric wrenches because I had no tools with me.
Yeah.
I still have that set of metric wrenches. They're in my Fiat. They're like Mastercraft or something. But he says, go to my apartment. He goes, wait. He goes, nobody home. He goes, so wait in the back in the parking lot. There's shade. He goes, I'm going to bring home an alternator. He goes, you're going to have to loosen the alternator. He goes, but on those cars, the alternator adjusting thing, they always seize up.
Yeah, the star thing.
Yep. He says, yours is probably seized up. You're never going to get it loose. I'll bring home an alternator. I'll bring home the new adjuster. I'll bring a belt. I'm like, oh, thank you. So we go out and we wait. And now it was like 3 p.m. He gets off work at like 5 or whatever. And then he had to get to the Bronx so we waited till like 6:30. He gets home. Now we're pulling the car apart. And he's like, oh, you want to come up? And like, listen, we just want to go upstate and have our weekend away. Now it's like on the cusp of darkness already.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to get the hell up there, man. It's like, all I knew is like, look, I was stranded, but luckily I wasn't like on the side of the BQE,
Yeah.
So that was the only time that car, you could say it stuck me. But luckily I had the right guy to call, Yeah. What do you got there, Isaac? Oh yeah, silver one. Yeah, mine was like it was black, but it was kind of a weird black. It almost looked brown in certain lights, when the light would hit it. But it was a black car with a gray interior. Comfortable car.
Yeah. Automatic, right?
Automatic. And then I put a killer stereo in that thing. Put some subwoofers in the back, and I ran speakers tweeters, and I put a really good system in it.
I want to know if I want to know if that's. Well, mine's more of a gun gray. Well, mine's like a blue gray.
That's nice.
Mine.
That's good color.
I can't remember with the gray interior.
So this is good. We'll do the second hour. You'll come in the second. I'll send you the link.
Send me the link.
And then
and I'll wear my Audi outfit. And, I'll tell Chris that he's messy. He upset. He hurt my feelings.
I have a T-shirt from the dealership. It probably fit me like a sausage casing right now. But it had the it was Island Porsche Audi. So it's an Island. It was like Island Porsche Audi, and it had the Audi rings, and it says "No one even comes close." That was their motto, But
I actually thinking about. I don't know where my license plate I used to have. It was Art of Engineering, Audi Art of Engineering.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I did with that. Let's see here. I got.
You got a deck of them there. I tell you, working at the shop now, I worked on that A6 and the A8, and I could have bought either one of those cars. I tell you, the supercharged A8, I would have loved to have that car.
Yeah, that's
But after working on it, no way, man. Not after working on it.
This one was on a government official car, but look at the writing.
It's upside down.
Yeah.
Capital City. Wow. Wait a minute. Yeah, right. It is upside down because the 618 could have been an 819.
Right, but
so is that a blooper, a blem?
Yeah, the DC tag. It's a DC tag and it's upside down.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was on a government official car there.
I was going to say, you mentioned that good memory. I was going to say I cheated because I have a couple of the seasons of Magnum PI, and I thought it was back there on my stand. I don't know where I put it, but I do have these.
Miami Vice. Wow.
Yeah, the Miami Vice.
But I got that Magnum PI. That's Magnum PI. That's what me and my dad would watch. We'd well, back when it was on regular.
Right. Channel 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Wow,
they have the new Magnum PI, but I've not really. I've got a few episodes, but
I'm not a big fan of remakes in general.
No, me either. Not too much. I mean,
it's never the same.
I like the Ferraris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my tag. Damn it.
You probably used to patch a hole in the floor.
No, because I had a Porsche one that said there was no substitute.
Right.
And it had the crest. And then I had gotten these. These were from when I went to school. This is these are the little goodie bags that they gave you when you're at school.
Right.
You got a cup. A lot of times, like you would get a cup and a shirt, and I don't know. When fanny packs, I have a fanny pack. I have a Porsche Audi fanny pack.
Oh wow.
But they used to, like I said, I had like a Swiss. We had like one time, I think it's Audi. It was a Swiss Army knife and a Swiss watch.
Uh-huh.
And so, these are things from the class or from training.
Right.
And the license plate thing, I used to run it on the front of my Audi, and then somebody wanted to steal it, or somebody wanted it, and I took and put it back and so forth. But this
Good idea.
So I thought,
Well, that's like like the picture I sent you from last weekend. We're sitting there, we're sitting there at the UD, and what rolls in, but that GT3.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
And the guy gets out, and he's talking about he does a lot of track days with that car. He drives it hard.
Yeah, that's what you got to drive.
Like over 100. He's in it, and he says, "Yeah, I hope I can get home without getting a ticket." But I saw the ceramic brakes. I looked and that yellow roll bar caught my eye. I'm like, whoa, yeah, this is serious.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, when you drive them like that, dude, you have no problems with those cars. But those, I can't tell you. Back in the day, I can't tell you how many times I'd scare the crap out of the owner of a car because we could take it down the road, and I had to watch myself because they'd say, I've never done that in this car. Or, you hug the off ramp to get onto the beltway, and you're just like hanging on that white line, and you're doing, X amount, and they're like holding on. You can start seeing them squeeze into the leather and the handle, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll slow up. And they say, no, this is okay. And it's like, so. But
it was funny because this guy's other car, he's got a hot rod. He's got a Willys. It's like a Willys gasser, and that's what he drives. That's his hot rod. He goes, that one you just go straight. He goes, this one, you could do everything with. And I'm like, no shit.
Yeah, it's
talk about different worlds.
There was a GT3 at the that car show.
That was a hell of a car show you went to. A lot of nice stuff.
Yeah. In the pictures I posted or I sent you, there was only, gosh, that might be a quarter of what was there.
Nice.
I mean, it was just there. Everywhere you look, there were cars, and there was a Porsche. What was it? The 1950s, like the James Dean Porsche
356.
Yeah. Now that one was one of those like the Beck Spider or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was a Spider. The death car.
But that thing was nice. Yeah. I mean, and it sat low. A month or two ago, my wife went with me to that. It's like the second Saturday of every month, and that car was there. And when we left, he pulled out in front of us, and I was telling her, I said, that thing sits so much lower than my Porsche. I mean, I'm like, that's nice. That's, I bet that thing can corner. And we got going down the road, and we got at a stoplight, and she's like, he must have turned off somewhere. The light turned green, and she's looking over, and then about a second or two later, she goes, oh, there he is. He was in front of an S10. I mean, not even a full size, and we couldn't see him. And when he pulled out a little further, she was like, oh my God, I thought he turned off. No joke. He is low.
Right.
So that would be fun. Something like that would be fun to take to a track.
Does that stir up the desire to get your car going?
Yes. Anything and everything does.
Good. That's what you need. If that's what it takes, that's what you need to do. Get out there and expose yourself to it. And it'll, what do you have to do to get your car going?
Really, right now, you just got
to get the brackets for the LS, right?
Yeah. No, I want to do the Subaru motor. I want to do the Subaru motor. But I mean, to get it going, really all I need to do right now, it needs paint, but I can drive it without paint.
You can drive without paint.
Yeah, I can drive without paint. Really all I need to do is get it started and adjust the pressure regulator.
Okay. Take it from someone who did it. You'll have more fun driving it without paint than you will when it is painted.
Oh yeah, I watched your video. I agree. I
'Cause
mean,
it won't bother you.
before it ended up sitting, I mean, I was driving it. In fact, I drive it up Mount Lemon here, and I won't say how fast I'd come down. It was a dog going up, but coming
Yeah.
down, it was fun.
Right.
And there's nothing like coming into a turn and you're dropping gears,
Yeah.
and then you're about halfway, less than 3/4 of the way, and you're on it and going up, and you're upshifting. Oh, it's just there's
Yeah.
nothing like it. And then
Yeah.
how flat that car sits in the corners. I mean, it's beautiful.
You know, it's funny. That's the fun I have in my Fiat too, because it's a small car. I have the suspension. It's actually probably a little too stiff. And I have bigger tires, bigger sized and better tires than it ever came with. And yeah, it changed the whole. Actually, Chris was behind me a couple times I love on ramps and off ramps, and the car stays flat. But at one point, I really leaned it on this one particular ramp, and I lifted the outer tire a little bit in the rear. He's like, "You lifted it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was really pushing it." I was like, just kind of levered it.
I used to do that in my dad's Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I tell you, you get that all 43 raw horsepower diesel smoking up, and you pull the injector pump out a little bit to richen that thing up, and man, going through, we had these S turns, and get that wheel picked up going around. It was pretty interesting.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's what I figured. That's what I figured with, if I got the Audi started, that just starts me with all the other projects.
All right.
I figured it's kind of like, instead of tackling the one that's in the gazillion pieces, take that will be, it's not, like I said, A, I have most of the parts. 2, it's mostly together, it's not,
it's a warm-up.
and like I said, I'm not gonna lie, the last 2 weekends, spending all day, luckily the weather's been nice, but it was very enjoyable, and I had a lot of fun. I mean, I will have to,
You're just gonna have to switch from using the metric tools to the American tools.
Yeah, well, actually, The funny part is, I have to say that I've learned, I do have a little bit more patience. Like I said, because messing around with those fuel lines, of course, I know that they're unattainable. It's not like I can just run down. And I've seen pictures on the internet how guys have tried to make that stuff, and
could you run new lines with aluminum or something, metal?
Well, I've seen what guys. I mean,
I guess you could, right?
Yeah, I mean,
nothing stopping you.
But I would like, or I'm hoping that I can try to keep most of the stock elements or the pieces. I don't want to get so far off where granted, I mean, I can make lines. I have the tool. I have the compression test. Like I said, like you're doing your power steering or your AC lines.
AC line, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have those. I mean, I can. All I do is buy the hose and buy the dies and or the clips. I mean, the clamps, and I can make it. I'm just trying not to get. I don't want to get all into that.
Right. Now, this is like I said. This would be good. It'd be a good warm up. It'll get you back into, working practice, and prime that pump, and hey, whatever it takes. I'm a fan of whatever it takes.
Yeah. So if I can, like I said, I just hope.
And you get to drive the car. You get to use it again.
Oh yeah, man. I can't. I tell you, we're still on air, so I can't say anything. But there's a group of guys that I just really.
Yeah. I got you.
So.
I got you.
I don't know.
That's good enough.
But
good.
But I can't wait. I got my Audi Motorsport camshaft. I got a 5-cylinder camshaft for it.
Oh, nice.
And
I was going to say, that's when I learned about 5 cylinders. My 5000 had a 5-cylinder in it. I
yeah,
was like, wait a minute. Either has one too many or one too few. Like, what the hell's going on here?
yeah,
But that thing ran nice.
yeah. It's amazing. And like I said, there's just a little bit of a different sound with those being a 5-cylinder, and I'm hoping.
Don't they balance out pretty good too with a 5?
Yeah, I mean they're
smooth.
They're smooth.
They're
I mean,
smooth and balanced. Yeah.
Was yours a Quattro, Ray, or just a regular? Was it just front wheel drive?
No, it was just front wheel drive.
Okay.
Just regular 5000. Yeah.
Regular 5. Okay.
Yeah. You know, I do remember now when you said fuel pump, I did have to change the fuel pump in that car. And I found out that was the first and only car I did a fuel pump on that had a access panel in the trunk. You unscrewed the access panel and the pump was right there. So I'm watching on that you know just rolled in on YouTube. Guys all the time cut holes in their floors and then they'll patch it and they'll use like 2 or 3 inch zip screws and go right through the fuel tank. Like, you idiots. Didn't you realize the tank was, you know, 1/8 of an inch off the floor and using a 2-inch screw? Okay.
On the 944 on the rear hatch, you know, where the gas tank was underneath on the floor, but you know you had the rear hatch that opened up and where the cargo space was. Well, that's underneath that was the fuel tank,
right?
And we had a CD changer that we would put in the car. You know, you could have put in the car, but it went down into the well, you know, on the side, and everybody would say, well, you know, why can't you put it here? And I said, oh, because of your fuel tank, or, you know, you can't put that there. It's got to go on the side here. Well, you get a few people that didn't want to pay us. So they would buy their CD changer, take it home and do it that weekend. Well, Monday, the car came in with a smell of gas because they run the bolts right down into the fuel tank. And, you know, that's where that's where they would get. Of course, then you had to sell them a gas tank, and then you know we had to move the CD changer stuff. You know, and
look how much different that bill was.
And you know the whole time they're just cussing at you, and you're like, dude, what do you expect?
It's
that,
your
you know,
fault. Yeah,
you know,
your fault that they wanted to be cheap and save the money.
That's where you guys should have handed out a free mirror. And said, here, well, here's the bill. Here's what it's going to cost you. Well, I work on this. Here's a free mirror so you can cuss all you want. That's the person you want to cuss at.
Grab a goodie here.
Yeah, that was always, I tell you, when they would roll out on Friday afternoon, they would roll out of the driveway with that. I'd say, well, they'll be back Monday. And, you know, 95% of the time they'd be back on Monday with a hole in the gas tank.
The mirror thing I heard from this guy I used to know. Anytime his wife and him would be arguing and it got a little too heated or it was going that route, he'd say, here, come here with me. And he'd get her to go in the bathroom. And he'd say, here, you two argue, and when you're done, come talk to me. And he'd walk away. He's like, I'm done arguing. So you two hash it out, and I'll be in the other room when you're ready to talk.
Yeah, I like that.
I think he was nuts because I'd be worried about catching something upside my head for that.
Yeah, no shit. You're right on that.
I mean, I loved it. When he'd tell the story, but I was like, I don't think I could do that.
Oh man, yeah. So, yeah, you should get your 914 up and running.
Yeah, I really need to.
Keep going to those car shows.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I got to get my ass in gear and pull my car apart now and do this fuel injection conversion. I got to get out there and start working.
Yeah.
Now I just saw something. There's a guy I follow who has a 69 or a 70 GTO. And, he did his motor. He's doing all the good stuff. And he put a Phytech fuel injection on it. And now his latest video, he dynoed it at Phytech. So they were able to tune it for him. And he had like a 450 horsepower at the rear wheel with I think 480 horsepower at the rear wheel. So very respectable. But he says, if you notice in my video, I have my Phytech fuel injection, but I also have these fuel rails on there. Edelbrock made a manifold with port injectors.
Wow. Yeah.
So the new video, he was taking the old Phytech off and putting on just the metering block, to go with the port injectors. And then they dynoed it, and it was still like maybe 460 horsepower, but 500 foot-pounds of torque. So he picked up more torque than horsepower. And I was surprised. He said, now they came out with an electronic distributor to tie in all the controls, which is what I bought from Holly. And he said, I'm going to put that in next. I was surprised he hadn't done that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see where he goes with that. But I didn't know they made a port injection manifold. Now it's got me thinking okay, I'll run the throttle bodies for a while, and maybe I'll go to port injection too. Why not?
Yeah. If I want to, you said Edelbrock made one.
Yeah. I mean, it does look more out of place because you're seeing 8 injectors and wires.
Right.
If they made a cover for it, maybe it would look a little, kind of bury it. But that really makes it look more modern, which.
Yeah.
Does it have on that port injection manifold? Does it have the throttle body on top?
Yeah, well, he had the Phytech fuel injection throttle body, but now the one they put on there is just an air metering device because the injectors are the fuel metering devices.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like on your
It's more like a throttle body is what it is.
Yeah, like
really.
On the
but it looks just like a Phytech, regular Phytech injector.
Yeah, instead of it being instead of it being like the tune port like the Corvette or the Camaros had and where that throttle body's in front, it's sitting.
Well, that's the thing on those engines, they use what was called like a shower head. It was a round injector that was like a shower.
Yeah, I had that on my Firebird.
Yeah, they all
I know
use that. Now on the Holly units I have, there's actually 4 dedicated fuel injectors inside that body. It's not a shower head. So I thought that was pretty good.
They're actually injectors, or are they like
Yeah, they're actually injectors.
Yeah, they come out like regular injectors, right? I mean, if you had to swap out an injector, it's like a regular injector.
You got to do some. You got to take the body apart. But I did take it apart to see. I was like, "Damn, it is. They are real fuel injectors."
Huh.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll see.
And is
I think the is it fast the fuel injector or one of those, they have like the little it looks like the Holly, but it's got like a little rails on the outside.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with their stuff.
I think it's Fast that does that. One of those companies that does that, but I think
it's
Fast.
Phytech and Holly look very similar. Fast would be the one I think that would be the different one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, instead of on top of the manifold, it's just a big throttle plate. Is that all it is?
You mean with the port injectors?
What the one that guy had, because
now it looks like the Phytech fuel injection unit, except now it's just going to meter air. It's not going to inject any fuel.
Okay.
So there's no injectors in it. It's real just now it's just a throttle body, an air metering device, because it's got port injection.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing I found out, man, this freaking Volvo is hard to get parts for.
Yeah.
My daughter wants to pick it up like in a couple of weeks. I got to get it ready. So I was in Walmart today. Do you know the straight 6 in those vehicles holds more oil than the V8? 7.7 quarts of oil.
Yeah.
So I got the oil and I figured, okay, let me get the oil filter, the air filter, the cabin air. Now I had some numbers written down. No, they had nothing. I looked in the book and I looked straight across from Volvo and they had an oil filter listed, and then nothing for any other filters. It was blank.
Yeah.
So, and this book was all curled up and disgusting. So there was a woman there taking the book off the shelf. I said, "Yeah, good idea to take that book is crap." I said, "What are you're going to get rid of it?" She goes, "No, I'm putting a new one up." I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay." I said, "Because I see what I'm looking for isn't in this one." She goes, "Oh, well, look in the new one. Maybe it's listed in there." No, the new book, same listing. Now they used to have the electronic machine up where you could punch in.
Yeah.
Right.
They never worked. They used to have one for all the filters. Then they had another one, I think, for bulbs
And windshield wipers.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what people are doing with those things, but they destroy them. So I left with no filters. I went to my local auto parts store, which is a hard parts store. They had an oil filter because I don't have the air or the cabin filter. I'm like, really? So he'll get it for me. He had it by the end of the day today. I'll pick it up tomorrow. But
Yeah.
this freaking car, man, is like hard to get stuff for.
Yeah.
I measured the rotors and they were fine, and then I measured the brakes. I think I had like between 6 and 8 millimeters on the brakes. I know the spec is at like usually around 2.
Yeah.
Which I did find the spec was 2. Actually, Joe D had one out. He made a purchase. He got
Oh,
one.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So, but you know what? Navigating it is kind of clunky. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a paper. But anyway.
Yeah. I hate that
I know.
CD.
When you can't get anything else, at least it's something. So I figured, you know what? I asked him, I said, if you had Volvo brakes that had 6 to 8 millimeters of pad material, would you change them for new brakes just to know you had new brakes in there? And he goes, no, I'd leave them alone. I'd leave the original factory pads. Because last weekend I got that airbox apart. Remember I told you the screw?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and I said, in the car, I couldn't get in there to manipulate the screw. So I'm thinking, maybe I can just take the whole damn thing out. And I saw there was just one mount on the fender well. You take the air tube off, you pull off the wire off the mass airflow. I took the whole airbox out, brought it into the shop, took my whiz wheel, just cut a straight slot in it, put a screwdriver in it, the screw came right out.
Yeah.
Pull the air filter out. Volvo. It's a Volvo air filter. I said, whoa, okay. And it was dated in the year that the car was last titled. So it had been serviced. So I said, you know what? Let me see what plugs are in here. I couldn't get a plug listing. So I pull the engine cover off, and they use a freaking 8 millimeter bolt for the coil. Yeah, which is usually that 10, but okay, it was 8. Pull the coil, one coil off, get the plug out. Volvo. I'm like, holy shit, Volvo plugs. So this thing was dealer serviced.
Yeah.
And they're iridium plugs. I just wish I was tied in with somebody who could tell me. I want to know if a timing belt was done in this thing, is really what I want to know.
A lot of those cars, like if you look in the owner's manual, there's a service manual on the back, and they usually stamp. That's where we used to stamp or put the sticker in there.
I do have the owner's manual. I think it's upstairs. I think there was also, if it had a timing belt done, they usually put a sticker over either on the airbox or on the core support. There'd be a sticker saying that the belt was done, but a lot of times we did it on the back in the service manual or in the owner's manual. Yeah.
There was a service manual part, and it would have all the.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Was that the only other thing you could do? Because that car was locally in your area, right?
Yeah.
If you call the Volvo dealership and give them the VIN number, they should be able to give you the history.
Yeah, that'd be nice because I do have I got the VIN, and that would be nice.
If you could, like I said, if you found a oil change sticker, from the dealer or in the owner's manual, they usually they keep the records there. If you found the name. Because that's what we used to do. We used to get people call all the time.
There's really only one Volvo dealership around here. There's just one of them. It's not a few blocks from the shop.
Right, and I would just take the VIN up there and say if you could run this VIN, and they will give you the hit. I mean, it only take 30 seconds to run the VIN.
Yeah.
Because we used to do it all the time at the dealership.
You know what I should do? He never mentioned it, but it's on his route. The Snap-on guy, because our shop is on his route, and he's got to go pay. I wonder if he's got that Volvo. He always talks about the Audi dealership where my friend Lenny works, which is down the other way. But he never mentioned. I wonder if that Audi deal, that the Volvo dealership is his too, because he may know. Give me somebody's name.
Yeah,
But
like I said,
I'll go and tell him. Yeah, the Snap-on guy said, "Get the hell out of here, you son of a bitch!" No.
But like I said, they might even have it. I noticed. I don't know if it was Porsche or Audi. Online, they had you put your car VIN number in it, and it gave you.
Really?
Gave you, gave you information on the car.
I did. One of my Romeo Club meetings. I met with my buddy Cliff, who's a retired auto crimes cop, and I asked him if he could do a Carfax, and he did. He has a friend who ran a Carfax for me.
But
Carfax.
But so, I will tell you though, Ray, on that there is a special tool to do the timing belt on.
I know,
and it's like big bucks.
I know.
It's $800 tool, $900 tool.
That's what it does say here. 26 service history records. Last owned in New York. The last odometer reading was only a couple thousand less than what it has now. So, yeah, I know. And then that's the thing. My daughter will be on the hook for that. But, hey, she's getting a free car anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, I hate to see this. The last service, it was at the Pep Boys, the local Pep Boys. And they did maintenance inspection completed, starter replaced, battery serviced, battery charging system checked, battery replaced, tires rotated, oil and filter. So it's like that was one of these, they probably bagged them for a starter. And also a Pep Boys after that. Light bulb replaced, front brake rotors replaced, brake fluid flushed, front brake pads replaced, tires balanced and mounted, and emissions inspection. Yeah. Oh, then he was at a Mercedes-Benz and Volvo of Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Wow.
In 2013. It was an oil filter and engine oil fluid leak checked. And it had a Virginia inspection. It was in Virginia for a while.
Huh. Well, that's just a glorified. Does the horn work and does that light come on and off?
It started in New York, went to Virginia, then came back to New York.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'd like to know about that belt, but.
As far as oil, with oil changes and stuff, is there an oil that you guys prefer?
We get that question all the time on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And, people have brand loyalties, just like with tools.
Yeah.
I was a Castrol guy forever. And then I got away from Castrol. I started using Mobil 1 in my stuff. Now I use almost anything. Oil is oil. It's, but funny enough, I'm reading the Volvo manual and I get kind of suckered into the dealership thing. Like they hypnotize you because they recommended Castrol oil. So what I do today, I bought
Castrol
5-quart jugs of Castrol extended life oil for the. Yeah. I mean, I had a guy on the show, Isaac, who did oil testing. He worked at a laboratory in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And, you could contact them. They'll send you a kit with like 5 test tubes. And it's like once a month, you send them in a test tube with an oil sample. And they'll tell you all the trace minerals, trace chemicals. And also if you have hydrocarbon leak, fuel, whatever, it's basically like like having blood work done on your car.
Yeah.
And I asked him, so what have you found? He says, well, we find people are changing their oil too early. He says, because we get oil, it's like still, it's dark, but it's still very, very usable.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, since I work here, I can check my oil every day. He goes, so I do check it very frequently on the machine. And he said, I said, okay, well, I said, here's a question. I said, people ask us all the time, what oil do we prefer and what should they use? I said, what do you use in your car? And he was like, I don't know if you want to know the answer to that. I'm like, no, I absolutely, now I really want to know the answer to that. If you're boss,
especially in your testing.
And he said, well, I'll tell you the truth. He says, we test them all. And he said, I did it side-by-side test with some of the name brands and then Walmart's SuperTech oil. He goes, no difference. He goes, so now I buy SuperTech. And I was like, I could never bring myself to buying SuperTech oil.
Yeah.
But I did it once. I put it in like in the beater car. It didn't blow up. It was fine. And, I said, this guy, he's doing the oil test. And he said it was exactly the same. So it's the same stock. It's the additive package that varies,
Yeah. If he's testing and saying it's the same, I guess you could use it. I feel the same way. I kind of cringe.
Now,
I have certain things I'll get it, but yeah, I kind of cringe.
We had a guy on years ago who made a device. They sold this device called I always forget the name of it. I have it in the garage. It's an oil tester. It's a little plastic thing with a well, and you put oil in it. You fill the well up. It only takes a couple cc's, and then you press the button. It gives you a digital readout from 0 to 10 of the life. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is still good. 5 is halfway. Obviously, 6, 7, 8 turns into amber, and then 9 or 10 are red. So every time I did an oil change on every car at like 4,000 or 5,000 miles, I would test the oil, and it all kept testing like in the 4 and 5 range. I'm like, that's plenty good.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I said, maybe this tester is bullshit. Maybe this thing really is crap. So I went and I have a waste oil. It's like a catch-all oil thing. So I put oil in there, tranny fluid, gas, carburetor cleaner, you name it, it goes in there. I took a sample of that and it tested good. I was like, huh? I said, this thing is definitely broken.
Yeah.
Then I said, you know what? I went and I took a sample of oil out of my lawnmower. And the lawnmower, I would always change the oil at the beginning of the season and let it go for the season. And I change it again in the spring. So it's an air-cooled 4-stroke Briggs & Stratton engine, or Tecumseh engine. I took a sample out of that. Bad. I was like, okay, so this thing does work. So now I know. And you put new oil in it, it shows 0. So I said, okay, it is showing me a variation. So I get what it does. It looks at the light transmission through the through the oil sample is what it does.
Yeah.
Same way as a hygrometer works. The same theory, same principle. So. Yeah. So I've used SuperTech.
I did find I've used Valvoline for many years, but I did find that at Walmart, if I get the what is it, a gallon jug or whatever, it's about $3, maybe $4 cheaper than it would be at the parts store.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be in Walmart one day, and I had just gone and picked up oil at the parts store, and I went looking for something else, and I was like, I wonder how much this is here. And I looked at it, well, what the hell? I should have gotten it here.
Walmart's got great oil prices, but their stock has been really low.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was just in there today. Oh, now don't let me run this over. I also found they had my Hershey's dark chocolate bar.
Oh yeah.
They had them on sale for like, I think I paid in the supermarket the other day. I paid like three and change for one of these. Yeah, yesterday. Walmart, it was like $2.59. So I bought 3 of them. Like, give me those, man. I'm taking
that with almonds?
Huh?
Is that with almonds?
This one is almonds. I bought with and without almonds. Yeah, I like it both ways.
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take it any way I can get it. But
me too.
I love chocolate covered almonds.
Yeah, me too. I was eating this stuff on the trip. I bought this Mountain Trail mix.
Yeah.
With it's the M&Ms and peanuts and raisins. Bought this in one of the stores down the south. It was just like, as I'm driving, just eating handfuls of it. Like, got to do something when you're driving, But yeah, Walmart has good oil prices. So today, my wife sees, she went her way, I went mine, and she met me. And she says, why'd you buy this? I bought 2 5-quart jugs of Castrol. And she goes, why'd you get 2 of these? I said, well, her car holds 7 quarts. So, or 7.7 quarts with a filter. So say 8 quarts. So it's 1 jug plus 2/3 of the other jug. I said, I figured it out at the price. It was like $29. It's about 5 and change a quart. I said, the single quarts are like $9 a quart. So I would have to buy 3 additional quarts, which would be $27. The 5 quarts only cost me $29. So I'll buy another 5-quart jug. I said, I'll use it in one of the other cars. It's like, screw that.
Yeah, that's like I said, when I do the tool truck, or actually when I had to do all the diesels, of course we're only down to really one other than my pickup truck. I use the Shell Rotunda.
A Rotella, yeah.
The Rotella and the synthetic, the blend. But
a lot of guys use that in their muscle cars too because of the zinc. They'll use Rotella.
And it's good oil. It takes a hell of a beating and with the diesel, but I found that because everything takes 15, 16 quarts.
Wow.
Of
What's
oil.
911? Jeez.
I know. Well, like I said, so of course, when I first looked at the 5-gallon jugs of oil and I'm looking at the price, I'm like, God, it's fucking expensive. But then like I said, you go over and you pick up 15 of those single,
right?
It's just easier to buy 2 of the, buy 10 gallons and, you took care of,
keep the rest on the side.
Yeah. Well, I ended up, by the time it came real close, I would have to do like between the tool truck, when I did the tool truck, Jenny's truck, and my truck, I would only have to get like a one quart thing, or like 2 quarts. The 5
right,
the 2 5-gallons and like 1 quart or whatever.
Yeah.
If I didn't put any additive, I usually I run the. I had one right here, but the MOA stuff.
All right. Yeah, I always have open jugs of oil because it never runs out exactly. So I always have, but sometimes you need spare. Like I said, the RAV4, I was always checking that. That was using some oil, so I always had to add to that. I think that's 530 also.
Yeah.
And you always have extra open containers laying around.
But the other stuff, I'm a Mobile One guy. I've used Mobile One. Hell, actually, my old tool truck, my accountant, she said she would see for maintenance, it would just be oil filters. There would be no oil, And she's like, I see, a filter, but I never see any oil purchase. And I said, well, I'm still using the oil from the dealership.
Really?
And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, a 911 took 11 quarts of oil.
Yeah.
And we sold them 2 6-packs of Mobile One. And I always offered the 1 quart to the customer, but they would say they never wanted it.
Oh.
So I would have 1 quart left over.
Right.
So after 20 years of doing oil changes, I had all of this oil.
Nice. That you shouldn't have been taken home.
And so the bottom line was everything had Mobile One in it, and it was 20. It literally took me, I think, towards the end of my the old tool truck, I think the last 2 oil changes, maybe, I finally bought oil. So like,
right,
I had so much oil stockpiled that it took, almost another 20 years.
Where'd you keep it all?
It was all, I had them in, I would save the case, and it was all piled up, stacked up against the back wall.
So,
in
and what interval What interval were you doing the oil changes?
It depended on what, but it's usually anything between 5 and 10,000 miles.
And how many months was that?
Well, in the tool truck, it was almost a year because we only did 100 miles.
Okay. Yeah.
100 miles. I did 105 miles a week.
I've seen guys post a lot about asking about oil life, in the bottle, how long can it sit on a shelf. And I think as long as it's not open, it can sit almost forever.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I always shook it up, but I had a few of them where when you poured the oil out and you look, you could see like a color, like
Like a separation.
Like a separate. It almost looked like it had like water in it because you could see like a layer or I don't know what the right word is, but it was like a separation because you could see something floating in the bottom.
That could have been like the additive package may have separated from the base oil.
Now the only time I had antifreeze, and I didn't have a lot because being an air cooled car, I mean we didn't have a lot of. It wasn't until later on when we started getting
those damn water cooled engines came
water cooled stuff. But of course we had it with the old, we had it with the 928s and the 944s, but it wasn't as much. But I had some of the older coolant, or I had some coolant, and I found some not too long ago and opened up, and it had like when I poured it out, it had like black dots in it.
Oh wow.
And it didn't look right when I poured it into a cup and looked. When it settled out, it didn't look right, so I did not use it.
I think it's so funny how I saw it with the Porsche guys first, then the VW guys. It's the the air cooled against the water cooled guys. I mean, everybody was like, "No way, that's not a real Porsche. That's not a real." In fact, at one of the car shows we used to have out here, a big one, the VW club would always come, and they called it Land and Sea because it was the air cooled guys and the water cooled guys, and they would literally, it was like on a soccer field. There were these multiple fields at this complex, and the VWs had the whole soccer field, but the air cooled guys were on one end and the water cooled guys were all the way on the other end, and God forbid nobody could commingle. Yeah. And the same with the Porsches. And then I saw it with the BMW motorcycles. It's like, I came into the game relatively late with the BMW, but mine is water cooled. It's a multi-cylinder water cooled. But my buddy who got me into it, he was always a 2-cylinder air cooled guy. And I started seeing through my involvement that, there was still those air cooled guys, and they like that water cooled motor. That thing is no good, man. It's garbage. Really? It's like, no, it's not. It's just you're just stuck in the past, and you don't want to admit that they could do something. I said it's the same. It's the VW Porsche argument.
Yeah. This was the power steering fluid, the mineral oil.
Oh, right.
And see how that was towards the end when the emblem. See how it had the Volkswagen Audi. I got
a can of that out in the garage somewhere. What else?
Yeah, and if you have the green can, if it was a green, that was synthetic. That was like synthetic.
Okay.
And then this is the regular mineral. It's not. That's where everybody made the mistake in the 5000s. They would add power steering fluid.
Right. That was for the hydraulic pump.
It would eat up everything because they wouldn't put the right oil.
Lenny told me that. He goes, yeah, I think he gave me oil too. He said, yeah, when you got to do it, he goes, use this oil. You can't use. Yeah. Well, everybody did that with all the GMs for years. I mean, everybody in the service station, if they ever had to top off a power steering pump, they used transmission fluid too.
Yeah. That would just, that was the endless cycle of because you would tell the guy because it would blow out the power steering or the rack. Usually it blew out the rack,
Yeah.
And you'd say, well, you need a rack, and then you finally, you would realize you put the wrong fluid in, and you're like, well, you got to replace everything. Well, of course, it's $1 million now, and they'd say like, well, we can flush it out, but there's no guarantee. So it was, so then they drive it for a couple months, and then it would need power steering hoses, and then you drive a couple, and thinking back, a lot of times. If you didn't clean out the oil cooler, the trans cooler, for the power steering, or change the reservoir because it had a thing in there. There's once that transmission fluid or power steering fluid impregnated anything, it was done.
Right.
And
so, what would you flush with? Just fresh fluid or something different?
Well, we had like a flush, it was a chemical flush type thing, but it, again, it was really, probably today they probably have something better. Back then, this is all, when most of those chemicals were snake oil, it was bullshit,
Right.
I don't really like talking that way, but a lot of that stuff was the only stuff that was ever decent. And is like I said, is that, BG products,
right.
I've done some, I've had some really miracle stuff.
You just reminded back in the 70s when I had my Honda motorcycle, the guy turned me on to his B&G. It was a high pressure. It was an additive for the oil. It was only a couple ounces in this can, but it was like a high pressure additive that increased, like it supercharged the oil. And they swore by it, and I started using it. I used it for years.
Yeah, I had when I used to take the Scout out all the time, 4-wheeling, and of course, you'd spend all day in the river, under slinging the mud and everything, and then at work, I'd take it in at night, and you had to knock everything apart and clean everything and repack all the bearings because all that stuff would just get wet. And it was funny.
You should have run sea foam in that thing.
Yeah, well, it was funny because one day the BG guy was there and he saw what I was doing and he goes, "How many times you do that?" And I said, "Almost every time I go 4-wheeling or if I spend, a lot of time in the water." Because, the Scout had leather seals on the pump, not on the pumpkins, but where the axles came through on the front. They had like a rounded area that sealed up the U-joints, but it had a leather seal, and of course eventually water would get through that. I mean, it wasn't.
That's what it was. BG hot extreme pressure oil, extreme pressure lubricant.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And so he goes, "Hey, try this stuff," and it was like this bluish green grease. I've never seen it. Whatever. And it said right on it, outboard. It was like for salt water. It was. And I was like, he goes, "This is the best stuff in the world." Blah blah blah. And so I used it. And of course, 2 weeks later, we all go 4-wheeling and get through all the stuff. And I figured I had to bring the truck in and look, and that stuff was still the same. He goes, "You don't change it until it changes color."
Nice.
And, I got like, 8 or 9 uses out of that one, the one thing. And I probably even changed it when I really shouldn't have,
Right.
Well, especially back in the 70s, the BGs put out real quality stuff. More Than a Woman was one of their best.
Oh, right.
But this, but like the BG, 44 cleaner,
right?
And this stuff, I've seen stuff that was completely clogged up, and you thought you were going to have to replace, and you flushed that through, and it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I've even used the Star products. So that stuff's not bad either.
Which products?
The Star, the
Startron?
Startron, yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
I like this stuff. And like I said, Seafoam too makes great stuff.
yeah, you gotta be careful with Seafoam though. Seafoam will wipe out a motor in a heartbeat.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they had a lot of problems.
Hmm.
People, yeah, Seafoam scares me. But that's all I use. I mean, I got a lot of it because I even have this is for coolant cleaning.
Right.
So luckily I have a pretty decent BG guy.
Oh, you still see the guy?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he hooks me up. They used to make some really good stuff. They actually still do. Since I haven't driven because on the Ford, on the diesel, on the 6.0, they use oil pressure to control the injectors.
Ah, okay.
And that's one of the downfalls on a 6.0 when you have dirty oil or passages in the injectors get all fucked up.
It's like anything with VVT now.
Yeah. And they have a really good cleaner. And like I said, right before I change the oil, I'll dump a quarter of that in and let it run for a half hour, 20 minutes.
Right.
Through the injectors, and that cleans the injectors up. The oil pass on the oil side, not the injected side, but on the oil pressure side.
Right. Right.
And that was like with Jenny's truck. They told me I needed new injectors, and I ran that and straightened that problem right up.
So listen, cowboy, who are you talking to?
Yeah. I try not to be a snake oil guy, but there's a few of them.
No, sometimes the stuff, it works as advertised.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. We call that mechanic in a can.
Mechanic in a can, yeah. So hopefully I dumped a gallon, a little more than a gallon of Varsol down in the tank of the Audi to clean out anything that was in there.
How much gas was left in the tank?
Well, I had ran it dry.
Oh, okay.
I had ran it dry, but I noticed when I pulled the pre-filter off, it was it had a little bit of sludge oozing out of it.
Yeah.
So there must have been a little bit left in the bottom of the tank.
Yeah, there's always something. You can never get it all. And plus there's moisture, humidity and moisture.
So, and they don't have a sock or whatever. It's actually, I hope I don't have to cut the tank open.
Yeah.
Because they have like a window screen down on the bottom of the tank. That tank sits up sideways behind the back seat.
Oh yeah.
And so they have a screen. It's like a paint tray. You know how it's slanted so that you have like a well or a pocket for fuel to sit down in.
Right.
And they have this screen. I hope that screen, because I've seen or guys talk about how bad it gets clogged up and you can't do, there's nothing to do. You can't replace that. And they show about cutting the tank open and ripping it out.
Right.
So I'm hoping the Varsol, if there's anything down in there, will soften it up or melt it.
Yeah, can't hurt. Throw some fresh on top of it and away you go.
Yeah, so hopefully this weekend I'll have the video of the 5-cylinder with no exhaust driving around the backyard.
We're going to see a post from Nacho Man. Look at that. All right.
Well, boys, I got to get ready. We had some new changes with our bill pay, which
really,
I hope everything runs smooth.
Time to go make a sandwich.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of light on. I don't have anything to really have a sandwich with.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what happened with the shopping this week. I must have been off.
That's not good.
I know.
Yeah, we went yesterday, so I made sure I got now that I'm going food shopping every week, my wife keeps track and makes a list and all, but now that I go every week with her, I kind of get my own list, and sometimes I even bring it. And she's like, "What's that?" It's like, "That's my list." I said, "I got my own list." But then, like, she'll go to get something. I'm like, "No, we bought that already. Like, we bought that like 2 weeks ago. Like, did we? Like, yeah, I remember." Or like she'd be thinking, like, "Where's the pail? Oh, it's 2 aisles down. It's on the left side of an aisle. I remember that." Like, so now it's like two brains are better than one sometimes. We can like make it more effective. But
yeah, come home. You come home with both with the same stuff or doubles.
Yeah, no, it's not that bad because we're still using the same cart, so we got checks and balances. But
yeah, it was funny. Go on, Isaac.
Do you ever get the where you toss something in real quick when she's not looking, and you get to the counter and you're putting on the belt, and she goes, "Where did that come from?" "Oh, I don't know. You must have got it."
Every week it's the aisle with the cookies. For some, I don't know why. It's like cookies and Pop-Tarts, and they have this little section with all the Matchbox cars. And I always stop and I look at them. And she's like, you never buy those things. So this week I stopped and I looked. And that one with the white wheels caught my eye. And I said, "Hey, me, this is a special car." So, and then when she was, she walked the other end down, I took them, I threw them in a basket. So I was checking out. She's like, "Oh, these are yours." I said, "Yeah." I said, I got a long way to catch up with these guys. I said, you still have something to play with. She goes, "Yeah, you'll be playing until you're 80. I'm like, "Yeah, I probably will be." I hope so.
Yeah, I like that Volvo, the gasser.
I said, "A Volvo gasser, I'm in. Let's go. I gotta get it." There's another one too. There's like a multi-pack, 5-pack, and there's a Nova wagon gasser in it.
Yeah.
I can't see buying a 5-pack for just one. So.
Yeah, that's
I think I've seen a couple of those single. Yeah, that one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just watching a Steve Magnante video with his models, and he was saying how they made a model out of his Wilshire shaker. I mean, a Matchbox out of the Wilshire shaker. And he said that as for to pay, he asked him, "Well, how much do I have to pay you to do it?" No, we're going to pay you. He says they gave him 150 cars and $500.
Wow.
I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. That's neat. 150 of your own car. That's more than you need."
Yeah, that Volvo, the Volvo is from the Street Legends series, and that's a real car.
Really?
Yeah, that was the car I was.
Yeah. Legends Lord.
Yeah, that's the Hot Wheels series. They go to different series. They go to different.
It says
places.
Dream Garage down here.
Yeah, that's the series that it's in. They have there's a Trans Am. I don't know if I have one relatively easy to get to, but there's a Trans Am that was last year's car, and Walmart. Not Walmart. I don't know if it's Walmart to say, but they sponsor that, and then they vote, and that was the car that was that's a real car, and they made it for the guy. So the Street Legends.
Nice.
Have you seen the Volvo that I think it's a Volvo wagon that Letterman owns, and it's got I believe it's a Mustang.
50,
yeah.
That thing's hot.
Nice. A lot of guys are doing that with those squares, like the 144s, the square Volvos.
Yeah, the 240s.
Oh, 240. That's the other one. That's the later one.
Yeah. I got a buddy down the street. He's got 2 of them.
Nice.
And they're the 240s he's got one wagon and one sedan, and they all got one's got a 5.0, and the other one has a 5.0, but he's getting ready to turbo.
What do they do for rear ends in those things?
It's all stock. It's all the same.
Yeah. It holds up, huh? Wow.
Yep. There's a guy that sells adapter for the transmit, from the I guess the drive shaft. They switch the ends on the drive shaft to go, and
I know just working on this XC90, the little bit I've done, this thing is built like a freaking tank. It really is.
A lot of that stuff really is. I mean, like I said, it takes a lot. I got a couple buddies that are into drifting, and I was really surprised that they're still running basically stock gearboxes and differentials.
Wow.
And they say once they get, I don't want to use this word. I don't know exactly, but when they get to that 800 horsepower part, or when they get to that number, then they start having the problems,
Right.
with the stock stuff. But that stock stuff is pretty, you can really beat on it. So,
Understandable. Yeah, sure.
There's a builder out on the East Coast there somewhere. I don't remember what state he's in, but I think their company is LOJ, Lion of Judah, or something like that. But it's they put LS motors in like the Nissan 300Zs from the 90s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And, yeah, the 240 SXs and some of those cars. I've seen them on. I think I've seen their stuff on Matt Farah's on his one take videos on YouTube.
A friend just sent me a video of a guy local to me here who took a Triumph TR7 and put an LS in it.
Wow.
And he mounted it pretty far back too. I was like, wow. Put wheel flares on it, bigger tires. It was a pretty nice looking build, and he was looking to sell it. I
Wow.
was like, wow, cool.
That's a lot of motor.
Yeah. And I'm going to go up and I think I have a lot of cold cuts. Got to go eat some. All right. So, Brian, I'll send you the link for Sunday. I'll do it probably tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah. Send me a link and I'm always ready to go on. I mean,
yeah. And we'll have some fun. This way you can keep us going, keep us supercharged, and, we'll have some fun.
Yeah. No problem. No
All
problem.
right. Isaac, what do we tell these guys that are waiting outside for me to put the garbage out?
You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can follow us on Spotify, but whatever you do, don't follow us home.
You'll be in trouble. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll get 3-Finger Pete after you.
It's actually raining pretty heavy right now.
Is it? We had rain today, and it stopped and cleared up. So I don't know. I may have to put my shoes on. That means I got to go outside. Well, for Lewis Lee, Playing in Traffic is another one in the can. Ray Guarino, Motormouth Radio, Matco Man Brian, of course, from Matco Tools, and Coach Isaac. Papa Squirrel's in the audience over there. And we'll be back again next week, but we'll be in Sunday on Motormouth Radio, of course, 2-hour fundraising marathon. So they do it every year.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it. So we'll make the best of it.
It's all fun.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have some fun. Guarantee that. All right, fellas. Well, thanks for all the conversation and cool stuff, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in, Mom.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mom, right. Did she hang with us? Do you know? She
actually does pretty much every week.
Really?
Usually she'll usually text me after the show, or at the end she'll call me, or she'll call me the next morning and say, "Oh, I watched." So
better watch our language now, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, geez.
Now, Isaac, wait a minute. Instead of making your mom tune into this thing to watch, don't just go over and sit with her for a while. Just go there and give her some FaceTime. Come on, little hug. Little mom-son time. You have to do it on it.
Actually, I took her. Me and my wife took her grocery shopping on Saturday.
Nice.
She needed a ride up there, and my sister's taking her, or my niece, and it worked out for us to take her, and we had a blast. She had a blast. She actually ran me over with the cart, and she laughed after running me over with the cart. And I said, "Mom," nice. I asked her what she wanted out of the fridge section. And I said, "Okay, back up so I can open this." And she went forward and hit me, and I saw it coming, so I kind of loosened up and I bounced back. But the best part is I said, "You hit the wrong button." And I'm still standing in front of it, and I lean over. I said, "You got to hit this one," and I ran myself over.
Wow. Speaking of that, you just remind me, the supermarket we go to every week, I hear this noise from aisles away. And it sounds to me like someone has a metal rod and they're just bouncing it on the ground. It's like tink, tink, tink. I know that sound. And I'm like, what the hell? And like, it's from different parts of the store, different directions. and it's never near where I can see what it is. I'm like, what? So this week I was telling my wife, I said, I hear this noise every week. What noise? I said that it just happened. And then it happened again. I said, there it was. She goes, what? I'm like, and then it happened again. And then I said that. And she heard it. She goes, yeah. I said, sounds like a metal rod being dropped on the floor. And then it stops. You don't hear it again. Well, we happened to be in the frozen food aisle, and bang, there it was, loud. And the thing that reminded me is there was when people drive people will drive the motorized carts and they put it in reverse, there's that really loud backup beep. Beep, beep. I was like, damn, shut that thing off. It's like, come on. It's like you're not driving a semi. You're in a supermarket. So, and if you're in the aisle with it, it's really loud. So now I'm in that aisle and bang, I hear that noise, that tink, tink, tink noise. And I was like, it's right here. And there was a woman working. She was scanning stuff in the frozen food cabinet. So I said to her, excuse me. I said, is that you making that noise? And she goes, yeah, this stupid thing. It always makes that noise. It's so annoying. I was like, oh my God. I said, I've been trying to figure that out for weeks. She goes, if you know how to shut it off, tell me. I said, there's got to be a button there how to shut the thing. I said, I can imagine if you hear that all the time, it's got to be really annoying.
Yeah.
I said, it was just driving me crazy because it sounded like a metal rod.
Oh, mine makes kind of a beeping noise, and it drives me I hate using it. My scanner.
Oh, okay.
On the tool truck, I have it's like, you're at 7-Eleven checkout, and it's like that bleep, bleep. It's like a bleeping type of noise, and it drives me. I wish I could shut it up.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's all the little things. See, now it probably won't bother me because I know what it is. So I'll be okay with it. But, all right, fellas.
All right, guys.